Hello and welcome inside the scores table. Danny Riego, Brian Henson back here with you for the 3A, 4A preview show. We have a loaded lineup for you all again tonight. We're going to be joined by Lillie Graves, Jeff Knoy of McCutcheon here in a bit, Nia Bennett, Shana Williams of Connersville, Bailey Hape from Evansville Reitz, Kristi Ulrich, Jillie and Sanderson from Penn, Kristi Sigler, Mollie Ernstes from Jennings County, Andy Heim and Katie Kitson from Bellmont, Nick Rogers from Pendleton Heights, and will bring us home with the 4A roundtable with Carmel coach Jester Melio and LN coach Stephen Thomas. So we got a locked and loaded lineup ready to go. Plenty to get to with these games. Danny, since you and I just finished doing 2 of these interviews, I'm going to play an interview that I did yesterday to give us a chance to catch our breath, and we will go from there. This is Brebeuf senior Audra Kendall, who's going to try and pull off the rare double-double this weekend with state swimming and a regional basketball game on Friday, Saturday for Brebeuf. So here's Audra. For starters, talk to me about the swimming. What all events are you in? And
so for sectionals, I swam the 50 free, 100 fly, and then our 2 free relay and 4 free relay.
So how did you get involved with both basketball and swimming?
I've been involved in it my whole life. My neighbors got me involved in both of my sports actually because they had a girl that was about my age. And I just really loved them both, and that was part of the reason why I came to Brebeuf, because they allowed me to do both even though they were in the same season.
So you've been doing this for all 4 years now?
Yeah.
Do you ever any thoughts of giving one up for the other?
I mean, for sure, because it gets exhausting, morning, like in the middle of winter with the morning practices, and then school, and then afternoon practice, and then homework, like, it gets exhausting. But, like, your support system, and, like, I have friends on both teams I don't want to let down, so I just pursue.
So individually, how have you learned to kind of budget and balance your energy between the 2 sports?
It's been a learning curve for sure. Like freshman, I'm a lot better at it now freshman year than I was, now than I was freshman year. But like focusing on nutrition and eating, I'm always eating is a good, like that was almost the biggest part is sleep. And prioritizing that, I've really learned is important.
Event-wise, what are you going to be participating in this weekend?
My 2 free relay and 4 free relay, we won sectionals and we got 2 school records. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah, so that's what we're putting in this weekend.
So today, is it straight from practice to swimming?
Yes, it is.
Is swimming on Friday at least?
Yes.
Okay, so you get a little bit of reds.
Prelims are on Friday. If we make it to finals, which we have a chance to, that would be on Saturday. So that'll be a little bit more interesting.
So for you, I guess, just what has it been like now getting to close out your career, state in swimming and now regionals in basketball?
It's like, I can't even express it. It's so fulfilling. Like, I've been working on it, like, it's been my dream in both for these past 4 years and what I've been working towards, so to see it come true is amazing.
That's awesome. Brebeuf senior Audra Kendall, again, going for the double-double this weekend with swimming and basketball. I have a story up on IndyStar.com on Brebeuf coach Aaron Miller, who was diagnosed with breast cancer back in June and went through treatments actually longer than she expected, went into the season, just talked about her journey and everything she went to get to this point now where she is still coaching. It was not easy, but a lot of help from her assistant coaches, players and staff there, and just the Brebeuf community around her. Really cool story that they have going over there at Brebeuf. Danny, a couple games we wanted to get to on the 3A side. I think the one here, so we have about 5 minutes before our first interview, Roncalli Cathedral. 2 of the best teams in Class 3A throughout the season. I would say certainly in our area, maybe the 2 best. Really impressive teams. Cathedral had that 13-game win streak. Roncalli hasn't lost since the Marion County Championship game against Pike, a game where they played the Red Devils really tough, and they've only gotten better since then. Just a really balanced outfit on that side in Roncalli.
This one's great. I think the identity of Lisa Finn's basketball teams in the past has always been their defense. I think that's what they hang their hat on. When we had Coach Lisa Finn and Caroline Wiggins on here, they talked about their commitment to the defensive side. I think on the other side of it, one of the things that we talked about when discussing Roncalli was how efficient and explosive they have been on the offensive side. So I do think that it's really 2 teams that I don't want to say specialize on one side of the floor, but maybe for us as fans, maybe employ the analogy of one side of the floor with them. That is really what's very interesting about this game is just the offense-defense aspect of it. But from the scheme side of it, Roncalli, we talk so much about like high flat ball screens, like the middle of the floor. Like Jason Sims has started to run a ton of that. If you watch their first 10 basketball games and you watch their last 10 basketball games, there is a true evolution toward ball screen action. And he does it in different ways. They're running it with roll rise. They're running it in switch action. They're taking threes on the under. Like, they're getting really good at it. And so I think the first thing that I would say before getting to any other piece of this game is, if Cathedral hangs their hat on the defensive side and Roncalli hangs their hat on the offensive side, then how does Cathedral and Lisa Finn decide to guard the middle high flat ball screen that Roncalli is going to set probably 15 times in this game? This one's going to be great. This one's at Greencastle too, so this is the game preceding Pike Lawrence Central. It's going to be a ton of eyeballs on it, and I'm going to have one set of them.
It seems like the times that I've watched Cathedral, they kind of go in this little bit of lull offensively, and then they just slowly start chipping their way back into the game. We saw it against Norwell. I think we saw it too a little bit in that city championship game against Chittard, where they just kind of chip their way back into it, and then suddenly find life. And next thing you know, it's kind of swinging the other way towards Cathedral. If you do that against a team like Roncalli, it can get a little bit out of reach, I think, just with how well they shoot the ball. Elliot Leffler's obviously the star, but they have so much depth and so many different kids that can score, names that aren't necessarily household names right now, but could be with a big weekend, big run here. So that's really interesting. And I'm also curious to see how Cathedral attacks at Roncalli defense, because as good as Roncalli is offensively, I think Sims would tell you, we want to hang our hat on the defensive end. And I mean, they guard the heck out of you for 32 minutes.
They do. And I think that leads to, and maybe this is a little unfair to talk about with Cathedral, because I think it affects every basketball team. But the games that I have watched Cathedral, they seem to fight foul trouble. I think fouls are a big deal. Leffler is a sturdy body who is not afraid to go and mix it up underneath. She is really good at kind of using her body, taking contact, finishing at the rim, things like that. And it's not just, one or two kids. Like, I've seen everybody seemingly on Cathedral battle foul troubles at times. And it's not always because they foul out late in a basketball game. Sometimes it's just the early second. I will be interested to see, because when you are setting ball screens in the middle of the floor, most of the time that's to facilitate downhills with Cerny and Leffler and Roscoe and these kids that are really good at that. It will be interesting to see if Coach Lisa Finn has her full complement of players and her full complement of rotation to be able to stop Roncalli. And so I do think that it's kind of a weird thing to say is a key, but I think the management of their own foul situation, I think, is going to be critical for Cathedral.
That's going to be a great game. Like Danny mentioned, that's the 4 p.m. game down there at Greencastle, preceding Pike versus Lawrence Central. Danny, we're up against it with the guest here, so I want to get to the news bit first. I want to get this early in the show. But Jim Gordillo messaged Julia Lashley, who broke her hand late in the season. She was back at practice on Tuesday. Cast was off the hand. It's still wrapped, and she still wasn't really using it yet. But she's going to go to the doctor tomorrow, Friday. And depending on what they say there's the possibility, at least, of her getting to play on Saturday, or for semi-state Saturday, if Bloomington South is able to beat Floyd Central. So restating that in a non-marble mouth way, Julia Lashley, the cast is off. It was wrapped, but she's going to the doctor Friday with hopes of semi-state potentially, if the team is able to get there. At the very least, though, this is something that Jim pointed out. He just said that was a big lift for everybody to see her back there on the floor. So fingers crossed for her that it's good news, if nothing else, just for her ability to get back and have a full off season before she heads off into college. But some potentially massive news for Bloomington South if they're able to slip by Floyd Central in that regional championship game at Bedford.
And not only just massive news for Bloomington South, but massive news for everybody in the 4A South who might have previously, before Gordillo reported that news and you talked about it on this episode, might have been rooting for Bloomington South in that game. But with Lashley, that's a team who was up 10 in the first half against undefeated Center Grove earlier in the year. With Lashley, that's the team that took Pike to the final possession in the Final Four last year, or in the semi-state Final Four with the first round of that matchup. So that is enormous news that could be very consequential with who comes out of the 4A South. But as is, it doesn't look like she's going to play. And I think Floyd Central is probably, probably lucky that it's Valentine's Day and not the week after.
Yeah, that's going to be a great semifinal game or a regional final game there. We'll talk about that probably a little bit here at the end of the show. Stephen Thomas, Lawrence South Wildcats played Bloomington South around the year. We've both seen Floyd Central. Let's get on our first guest tonight, Danny. Let's go ahead and bring on Jeff Knoy and Lillie Graves of McCutcheon. Guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks, guys.
Good. It's good to see you guys. McCutcheon getting ready to take on Hamilton Southeastern in the 4 p.m. game at Frankfort. Lillie and Jeff, I'll ask you the same question I've been asking everybody to start this off. Just how have these first couple days of regional prep been going?
Very well for us. We got a lot of shots up the last couple of days, stayed healthy for the most part. So had a little bit of flu bug going around, but now I think we're over that for the most part. So had a great week here of practice so far in our prep. Got one more day left.
Lillie, for you, if you could just talk to us about the evolution of your game. Obviously, the assists are way up, the rebounds are way up. What areas have you been kind of focusing on this year?
Yeah, I think going into this season, I knew I was going to have to step up, especially in the rebounding side of things. And I mean, coach was on me before the season even started. He was like, you're going to have to go get every board and do all that. So I think rebounding was a big thing for me. And then with my assist, I mean, I thank my teammates for that because they've been making shots. And I think, we just have a really good chemistry. So it's easy to play all with each other and share the ball. So I think that helps a lot as well.
Don't forget the 3-point shooting, Lillie. 33% this year. And just for the people in the audience that haven't been to Max Preps to look at it, okay, that 33% is a great number that you guys know how we feel about the line of demarcation with 3-point shooting. But that 33% is on 124 attempts. That's more than 5 attempts, almost 5 attempts per basketball game. You're shooting it really well, Lillie. Just talk about how you feel with your shot right now from behind the arc.
Yeah, for sure. I feel great. I mean, I feel like a lot of people know kind of how much time I spent just on my shot focusing. I mean, at one point it felt like it was never going to improve or get better. And then to see this season, the improvement, I mean, I was looking at the numbers myself just a couple of weeks ago and I didn't even realize how good I was actually shooting. I was like, oh, my shot's finally falling. But just seeing that, I mean, it was a 15% improvement from last season, which saying that's kind of crazy to say, but at the same time, I feel like I put in a lot of work. That was my focus kind of for a really long time, just trying to improve my shot to be a bigger threat on offense.
And tacking on to that, Danny, she's up to about 58% her last 6 games. So it's a huge jump improvement. Yeah. So on fire the last month after Christmas. So that's just been evolving over time. When that much work goes into it, eventually law of average is going to catch in. So she's shooting it really, really well the last month.
It's also the quality of look too, I would say, Jeff. I mean, I've seen a lot of McCutcheon basketball the last 3 years. I'm not sure how much of my comments you've heard me say about McCutcheon this year. I've said several times, I think this is the best rendition in the last 3 years of your basketball team at McCutcheon. And the one thing that I point to is the balance. You just seem to be more balanced this year. That is just my eye. We haven't spoken about that. What compare and contrast the last 2 or 3 teams in your eyes? What is different about this basketball team? It feels different. It looks more balanced. Lillie's shooting 33%, and so maybe it's individual performance. But what is it from the coach's eye that makes this one different?
Well, I think overall we've just improved as a whole entire group shooting the ball first off. And we all know, obviously, the ball goes in, it's an easy game. The ball goes in. And at times last year, the ball didn't go in real well for us. But it's not just Lillie's improved in her shot. Kiara's improved and Chloe's improved. So we have different kids capable of scoring different nights. And so I think a lot of that's a confidence thing too. Once the ball starts to go in, you hit a couple shots, 2 or 3 shots in a row, then the things kind of flow from there. So it's really helped Lillie out, I think, with her assists. With other kids being able to hit open shots. And so, and very similar to Southeastern, we don't really have a true post player, and we're playing basically 5 guards on the perimeter at all times. So those kids can slide in, Lillie can slide in, and Kiara can slide if we need to, but we're playing a lot of guards and perimeter kind of thing. So a lot of unselfish basketball too is what we really did. Not that we've had selfishness in the past, but sometimes we had to be selfish. And now we've got a really good job of spreading the wealth out kind of thing. It's matter of fact, Kiara was our leading scorer up through Christmas. And then she kind of struggled shooting the ball. So then Lillie got hot. And so this kind of bounced back and forth. So it's nice to have obviously 2 or 3. We had 6 kids in double figures in the sectional final. So that's a nice fact to have.
Well, you mentioned Lipscomb Allen, and you can certainly get more granular and talk about her. I've noticed that Ahniyah Gibson, I think the second Jeff game where you guys were up 23-1 at the end of the first quarter, I think she had a team high 8 in the first quarter. You know how I feel about Chloe. I always feel like she makes winning plays for you, but it just talk about how you approach that during the game. I mean, it seemed like in the first two previous years, you were reliant on Lillie to have to be able to score the basketball, but now I've seen your basketball team, and I don't know if it comes from you or the kids, but if Amiria's feeling it or Lipscomb Allen's feeling it, the game really kind of flows toward them. That's kind of what I see. Is that something that comes from you, or is that something that just happens organically with the players?
Trust me, it's nothing to do with me, buddy. It's all about the kids and how they're playing. So, and that's a nice thing. And probably Lily's best attribute is she does not care less about scoring. She is get the ball to the open person. And we haven't even mentioned Trinity Wilburn yet, who is a senior coming back with her torn ACL. And so Trinity's added a whole nother scoring element to us. And the same thing, when one of those 3 or 4 or 5 kids get hot, it's nice to be able to go to somebody else to get shots. And the good news is they're totally unselfish as far as who gets the points. Chloe led us in the sectional final and could care less as long as we're winning and things are advancing and things are going well. And that's kind of the whole attitude we've had as a team. And again, you try to talk about that as coaches, but that's just the kids and the kids playing together for a long time and working together.
Clarify the narrative for me, Jeff, first. And Lillie, if you want to add on, go ahead. But it kind of took a mind of its own a little bit when we were talking about how much you were switching Ds, like when Lillie first got to McCutcheon, and it almost seemed like you were trying to create offensive, like live ball change of possession. Like you were trying to turn them over, like almost trick them essentially into the game that you wanted. From my eye, it seems like you've really kind of settled in a little bit, not doing as much of that. I don't know. Clarify the narrative here. What is your defensive philosophy this year with this basketball team?
Well, I think the key to, after doing it for a long time now, the key to girls basketball is whoever gets the most layups wins. And so however you can do that, whether it be execution in your half-court game, or whether it be trapping steals and run-outs, that kind of thing. And so early this year, especially too, we were trying different things to find out what we liked, and we've kind of settled into what we think we like, and the kids are comfortable with it. And so obviously as you get deeper and deeper in the tournament, you're not going to change a whole lot. So I'm just convinced whatever you can do and your kids are comfortable with and can get yourself easy shots, and that's kind of what we settled in with defensively. A lot of zone, obviously, but and the nice thing about having different defenses, if that's not working, you go, what's your plan B? And so, like, for example, we went to, we played Harrison in the sectional. They were attacking our zone pretty well. So we just went man, switched up and went to a man full court press. And it worked out great for us. We have a lot of different options to go to, but whatever, the kids are comfortable with, whatever you can get easy run outs and easy steals with.
Lillie, I one more, and I'm going to ask it to you. Just in regards to team success, getting to know you over the last few years, you're all about winning. Okay. I mean, and that's just the one thing that I know about you. You've played in 3 sectionals so far in high school, and you have 3 sectional championships. You also have a regional championship. I know how much you want to add the following weekends to that. But that being said, you have to remain singularly focused on this basketball game. Just talk about this run and this year for you, how important it is to win, because you've come so close to the goals that you've had coming into each season, and you put yourself in a position to really make a run each of these last 3 years. So just talk about what this would mean to you personally to get through and into the semi-state and give yourself another shot at downtown.
Yeah, for sure. I think this year especially, it's different just because we have about 9 seniors this year, and I grew up playing with all those seniors. So knowing this is our last run, this is the last time I'm going to play with them. I think that's what has made this season so special and so successful, because we all know this is the last run. So I think having that chemistry built up, and then knowing, okay, last year we were able to get through the regional, make it to semi-state. Then I have the outcome we wanted the first round. So I think at the beginning of this season and preseason, our goal and what we were talking about was we want to get back to semi-state and get through to the second game and, have a different outcome at the end of that. But going into this weekend, that's still our goal. But at the same time, we have to focus one game at a time, because we can achieve that if we don't get through this game. So I think just kind of focusing on this game, focusing on us and the game plan and kind of what we need to do in order to get back to there will help us be successful in the end and kind of figure that out. But yeah, it would really mean a lot, kind of adding that tier, as I keep growing as well and getting older.
For both of you guys, and Lillie, if you want to start the HSE matchup, I'll start broadly. Just when you watch them on film, how have you kind of seen them develop, mature over the course of the season, and what jumps out to you when you watch them?
Yeah, I think just the pace they play at, especially, KK Holman, obviously. I know her personally, so seeing her play, she plays at a really fast pace and trying to keep her out of the lane. And then their three-point shooting as well is really efficient. So I think, having both those things noted is kind of something we've been thinking about and talking about a lot, looking forward to this weekend.
And I don't know if I've ever seen a high school player, like when she gets downhill, and she's very similar to Lillie in that. And Danny, you could probably talk to this. She's very similar to Lillie in that when she gets the ball and she's going downhill, she is coming downhill hard. And so a lot of things we see is, man, she gets the ball and she is coming at you and puts a lot of pressure on you defensively, and you spread that out with 4 shooters. That's an awful tough guard that we've been trying to figure out this week on how to guard that. She's just a really good player. Like I said, you put shooters around her, that makes an awful tough matchup for a lot of people.
You guys have beefed up the schedule this year, plugged in some different teams like a Valparaiso, for instance. Does KK and the way that Satterfield runs things at HSC, is it reminiscent, comparable to anything? Like, you're able to point to say, hey, we played this team earlier this year, we can look back and lean on that? Or is this kind of like a totally new start from scratch kind of thing?
No, I think it's very similar. And that's what we played Floyd Central. We played Crown Point. We played some really good teams in order to get ready for this chance right here. And so I'd compare very similar, I think, to Valparaiso, in that Lillie Barnes, obviously very similar to KK. I mean, different style of kids, obviously, but a scorer that gets downhill in a hurry, can score multiple ways, and then they spread that out with 2 or 3, 4 shooters like Southeastern's got. So we've been doing a lot of work with our Valpo film and seeing how they attacked Valpo attacked them, because it's a very similar, and obviously 2 really well-coached teams, Valpo and obviously Satterfield at Southeastern. But that's a game we looked at a lot as far as the personnel, kind of a matchup issue that we're going to run into. It's very similar players. Lillie, and then obviously KK.
Lillie, for you, that different schedule, facing some of these different teams, I guess, just how do you feel more prepared coming into the state tournament, coming into this weekend than maybe you have in years past?
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I think kind of every season we've, added a couple matchups that have helped us more in the postseason. I think this year our schedule was really good and well built to prepare us for, moments like this weekend.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. Best of luck here this weekend, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Luck, guys. Good luck, Lil.
Lillie Graves, Jeff Knoy with us here from McCutcheon. Danny, your thoughts?
It's going to be the ball pressure. The ball. So for those that didn't follow the show this week and are just picking it up, those that don't live in the sectional 8 coverage area, you guys are probably just hearing this for the first time. HSE made light work of sectional 8. They opened with Westfield, who many believed to be the second best team within that sectional, and got away from them in the second half pretty early and pretty easily. They beat Noblesville in the second round and then capped it off with a road game, really, against Carmel in the sectional 8 championship. And in each of those games, it was the different mix of ball pressure by different players at different times that affected that basketball game. That ball pressure came from Abby Orm. That ball pressure came from Ant Green. Those 2 kids specifically really, really dictated tempo and allowed KK to guard off basketball a little bit, protect the rim, grab rebounds, ignite the break, because she was getting so many defensive rebounds. Like, it all kind of merges together. I think the one thing to watch in this game is how can McCutcheon handle that ball pressure. A couple of the players that Jeff had mentioned, I do think that they're a little bit deeper now. Like in years past, I don't want to say that Lillie, because Lillie she was playing 1 through 5. She was guarding 1 through 5. She was assisting. She was rebounding. She was scoring. She was having to work to the free throw line, manage foul trouble, do everything. But with Gibson and with Lipscomb Allen and with Finney, and then the other kid that Jeff Knoy mentioned was Trinity Wilburn, one of those kids is going to have a favorable matchup, and in regards to the ball pressure. So I do think that it could be really anybody that has to control the tempo on the offensive side for McCutcheon. HSC has gone back and forth with the switching thing. I would suspect them to maybe go back to the switching. I'm not quite certain. I don't know that there's one particular matchup they would want, even with how exceptional Lillie Graves is. But everything starts and ends and is going to be determined by that Ant Green, KK Holman, Abby Orm trio of ball pressure that they can put on you.
This feels like one of those games where the focus is going to be on the two stars. As it should be KK Holman and Lillie Graves, but it's going to be the other kids and maybe even just beyond the secondary scores. It's going to get like deeper into the lineup and to see which kids can step up. And it's interesting because McCutcheon at the beginning of the year, I remember talking to Jeff after they played Plainfield, and that's something that he kind of mentioned. Lillie mentioned it too during the interview. Just other kids are starting to hit shots, which has helped her assist numbers. And there's a lot more depth there. And on the HSE side, as we've talked about all season, it's just those younger kids. The numbers don't pop out and grab you immediately, but those who've been paying attention understand that these kids are learning to step up in big moments and have those moments to knock down shots and go off for, 10, 12 points a game. And that's sometimes all you need in a game, especially one like this.
That can swing it for sure.
Yeah.
I did want to comment. Jeff said, Danny, you would know, and he was talking about my familiarity with both KK and Lillie. The one thing, and I said it in the last episode, I think after the sectionals, I think one of the talents that KK Holman has that she does better than maybe anybody in the state currently right now is draw fouls at the rim. There's a clip that's floating around by one of the third party people that was like covering games or whatever. Maya Layton was downhill. She went up and Lillie Graves like blocked the shot. She went down to the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
That collision at the rim. The Lillie Graves at the rim, and I'm going to jump as high as I can, and Kennedy Holman flailing through the lane. How that collision is the outcome of that could be a distinguishing factor in this game also, because if Lillie can change those shots or even block those shots without fouling Kennedy Holman, I think that's going to go a long ways for swinging check marks in McCutcheon's favor in this game, because she is so good at just drawing contact. I talked about how people force her left, right? I feel like when you force KK Holman left, I feel like she owns you, because I feel like she gets downhill. She gets that quarter step on you, and then she just one little acceleration, she's by you, and then she kind of jumps back into you with her right hand, and it's always a foul. Everyone's like, well, we're not fouling her. Yes, you are. Like, if it looks like a foul, it is a foul. And the way that she contorts her body, it always looks like a foul. So it always seemingly is called like a foul. But the McCutcheon ability to contest at the rim, I think, is going to be critical in this game as well.
That's going to be a really fun one to watch. Right now, Danny, we're going to play the interview that we had with Connersville as they prepared for their game against Mackinac at 4 p.m. at Lapel. I rushed through it there. I think I said it right. Come stick around for me to butcher it here at the start of the interview. We'll be back with you guys in a bit. We are joined now by Shana Williams and Ahniyah Bennett and Addi Jones of Connersville, getting ready to take on Mackinac at 4 p.m. at Lapel. I did not practice that name before we started this interview, and we're already off to a swimming start. How are you girls doing?
Good.
Great.
Coach, how are the first couple days of regional prep going for you guys?
Really well, actually. We came in on Monday just to get some shots and some conditioning in. We took Tuesday off for a rest day. Went up yesterday and practiced at Lapel. And then back today, we just finished up practice. But yeah, the girls are locked in. It's been a fun week. Like, we have a lot of stuff in our community right now that everybody's wanting to feed us or buy us T-shirts or whatever. But I'm happy for these girls getting that recognition. But with all that distraction, we're trying to keep this week as normal as possible. But these girls are doing a great job coming into practice every day. I haven't had to raise my voice at all, so it's been amazing.
That's what you like to hear. That's what you like to hear. It is fitting, like we were talking about off air, that you guys are playing this regional game at Lapel, because that was kind of the launching point for your season. You're 5-5 through the first 10. You get a win, and then you go to Lapel and you rally and win by like 26. Just talk to me about what changed. Addi and Ahniyah, you can start, and then Coach, I'd love to hear your thoughts too. But just what changed? What allowed you guys to use that as kind of a launching point for the year?
Okay. I just feel like we usually struggle with like all of us not being able to play at it like very well on the same night. But I feel like that night we all started playing well. We just did everything well in that gym.
I feel like usually it's like either two people's night, one person's night, or just all of us. And that night it just happened to be all of us, and we were just going all out. And I think we did pretty good shooting, and all around we just had good ball movement.
Lapel was scheduled earlier in the year, and it got rescheduled. And the girls were mad the first time because at that point Lapel was undefeated, and they were afraid the next time we played them they wouldn't be undefeated. But they went in with that mindset that, we're going to come out on top of this. And I think with that mindset going into that game and seeing how they played, like just things started clicking, and they haven't slowed down since.
Did it kind of help that stretch too, where you go in from that and then you start playing teams? What was it like, Delta, and then you play Borden and South Knox? Like, did it help kind of just following one really good team with a bunch more good teams? You kind of keep that momentum and keep testing yourselves.
Yes, very, because then once we got all that confidence up from that game, then it just kept going and going and going. We all kept playing really well and just played as a really good team.
Yeah, and playing that aggressive team just got us there and just kept building from it and just continue playing good teams.
Well, ladies, congratulations. It's great to have you on the show under this setting. So I'm really happy for you. I know a lot of your players out there. Shana, we've known each other for a little bit. I have a question. I first saw you guys December 6th at Hamilton Heights. And I just need to very much admit to you, you lost that game 50-47, but I'm standing there at the top looking down, and I didn't see the sectional champion down there. I mean, I did, and I saw a good basketball team that had a lot of good pieces. Shana, when do you think it turned? Like, when did it turn for you? When did you know that this could be something special?
I really believe it was that Lapel game. We had the first part of our schedule was brutal, and it was going to make us or break us, and we were either going to lose big, we were going to have a close games, or, it was something that we had to fight through and had to learn from in each game that we had. And we took all those from the losses early. Like in all those games, that our first 4 losses, I think we were within 2 with 30 seconds left to go in the game. And, and so learning from that and what did we do wrong? What do we need to do next time? And so but I think with the girls' mentality of going in to that Lapel game and thinking, we're going to beat them, we're going to give them their first loss. And the way they changed the mentality and the way they thought has really just from there has turned a switch, and they haven't turned it off yet. So,
well, I'm going to ask you the players some questions here in a second, but I have one more, Shana. Connersville traditionally has been a basketball school. A lot of people that listen to us might not know the McDivitt history and the Spartan Bowl history, but it has been, the last 10 years have been rough. I think you maybe as a school have only won a couple of sectional games, 0 sectionals. What is it in your estimation that's different about this team? Why was this team able to turn it around at Lapel, win a sectional, and now preparing for a regional? What is the composition of this roster that makes it so good?
Well, I like to say it's the coaching, but no. This is my 3rd year with the team and the coaching staff, and it was one of those things. Like when I would come to a game a few years ago, like I couldn't stay for a half. Like it was just I can't pinpoint it, but it was like when I got the opportunity to come in and knowing the tradition and the history of Connersville basketball, I think in bringing some, good coaching staff around me that knows that history, to be able to bring it back and get these girls believing, and because I know the talent was there, that it's been there, and just start believing in these guys and, pushing them the right way. And I think we developed a great relationship, and they ask me questions all the time about when I played, and how was it playing with April, or, and then, I think that was the last successful years was when, I won 4 sectionals and a couple regionals. So
Stop bragging. Stop bragging.
But I know that history, and I know that we had the talent and it was there, and we just had to bring it out in them.
Yeah. Addi, so on Friday night of the sectionals, you hit 4 threes. And then you come out in the very first offensive possession in the sectional championship and hit your 4th of the weekend. And I think you added on 2 more. I think you had 7 or 8 threes on the weekend. Like, you're really shooting the ball really well. What's working for you right now, and how can you carry that over into the regional?
Well, I just need to get my feet set and just go straight up with the ball, use my legs more, because I tend to get tired a lot. So I think if I do that and we just get the ball moving, get the ball going in and then kicked out, I think that works really well for us. Just ball movement all together and just carrying that over.
And I'm not sure how much you watch the show, but Hank was independently a fan of you. I've known you for a few years, so I know the progression of, hey, listen, I'm a track athlete that plays basketball. I'm a basketball athlete that runs track, all of those different things. Tell the audience your story. Just the last couple of years. You're a great basketball player. Tell us where you're going to school, what that's for, and all of that. So when we watch you on Saturday, we have a little bit of background.
So I started basketball in the 7th grade. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I wasn't very good. But I've always liked basketball, but I never started until middle school because, I mean, there was like dirt road games here, but they wasn't like really, I don't know, really like playing at all. So I started in 7th grade, and I've been running track since I was like 5. And then I played 7th and 8th grade basketball. Wasn't very good in 8th grade. and then starting high school, I kept progressing. I won state my freshman year in track, but then I kept progressing in basketball, and just basketball has been like, that's like the sport that I love. Like basketball is like my passion, and I am going to school for track at St. John's in New York.
Well, your progression has been fun to watch, and I will actually echo those thoughts. We won't go as far as to say that you didn't know what you were doing or you weren't very good, but learning how to channel that athleticism on the basketball court, like you've really played really well. In fact, I'll go back to the sectional championship game. It looks like coach was trying to take possessions out of the game, and here you are with a track athlete, like walking it up the floor and things like that's being a basketball player.
Yeah.
And that's taking individual scouts and applying it. For you, how important would it be to end your high school career with a deeper basketball run, knowing that it's going to be track that you're going to run and you're not going to play college basketball? You might run in some intramurals and things like that in the off season, but how important is this run for you personally?
Very, because I mean, basketball is what I wanted to do in college, but I didn't get the opportunity. So just being able to make it past sectional and hopefully regional and ongoing, it's very special because this is my passion. This is what I love to do. So,
Ahniyah, I know there's a relationship beyond player coach with Kendall Bottomley, in the screen right now. I'm going to give you the first opportunity to talk about her. Saturday night, she was fantastic. I think she had a game high 19, but it wasn't like the statistical stuff. It was like the steal at the end of the second quarter. It was the long baseball pass out of the loose ball in the corner in the second quarter that she had. She's another kid that was like, well, is this a volleyball player? Is this a basketball player? What is she? She is really, really good now. Ahniyah, talk about what Kendall Bottomley means to Connersville.
A lot. A lot. She does everything on both ends. She plays good offense, good defense. Her footwork on near the basket is great. And now that Coach Gray, he's got her 3-point shot, so she needed help with that. So Coach fixed that, Coach Gray, and now she can score at all levels, play defense on anyone. You put her on anyone, she's playing really good defense. So she means a lot to this team.
Addi, what do you see with her?
I also see, she's really good. She helps the team out a lot. When coming in as a freshman, she helps us out a lot. The footwork, again, really good. She can score from any level, anywhere you put her. 3-point, 2-point, anywhere. Good free throw shooter. She's just all-around good player.
I'm going to give my shot at this, Shana. Mackinac? How do you pronounce it?
Mackinac.
Okay. What she said. Shana, what's the early film show you? And I'm gonna provide context to this, okay? Like, I have seen multiple Connersville games. I haven't seen every possession. I've seen you guys play against certain things. Like, your scout specificity toward basketball games, I think has been really good this year. I did notice that you did try to take possessions out of the game and really control pace and tempo. You got the early foul trouble on Jillian Barr in the sectional championship game, and you got the 9-0 lead, I think, maybe in the first half, and you really, really executed your game plan to a T for that win on Saturday night. So what's the early film tell you? You know, without giving away trade secrets, of course, but what are the early impressions of Saturday's matchup with you?
They're really quick. They can shoot the ball really well. They play multiple defenses. So we have to be prepared for what they're going to throw out, whether it's going to be man, whether it's going to be the 1-2-2 or 2-3. So we have to be prepared for, coming down the court and figuring that out and knowing right away what we're going to get in. We have to get back on defense. Like I said, they can shoot the ball, the three, really well. And it doesn't take them long to get it out of their hands. So we have to get back in that transition defense and be able to stop that. I think, our athleticism, our quickness, and our height is going to cause a little bit of problems there. We need to use that to our advantage.
One last one for you guys, Addi and Ahniyah. Just what has it been like playing with this group this year? I mean, seeing you guys up in Northeastern, it seems like a group that has a lot of fun being together. Sitting here in this interview just for the past 13 minutes, seems like you guys cut it up pretty well. Bust each other's chops, whatever. Just talk to us what this has been like this season as players.
Okay. I feel like, I don't know, they're all just such great teammates. Some of us have played together for I don't even know how many years. Just we know how to joke around, we know how to have fun, but then we know how to take it serious. We just all have our moments. It's just great. Yeah.
We have all kind of known each other for a while, so we've all been around each other, and we are a very goofy team. Like we obviously take stuff serious, but like when like certain stuff we're really fun and goofy. But yeah.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. Best of luck here this weekend, and enjoy the team dinner that you got coming up here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Appreciate
luck,
it.
girls.
Thank you.
Joined there by members of the Connersville girls basketball team in an effort to get us back on schedule. We're going to go right ahead to our interview with Bailey Hape from Evansville Reitz as Evansville Reitz prepares for their regional championship game against Columbus North down in Bedford. Joined now by Bailey Hape of Evansville Reitz. Bailey and Evansville Reitz getting ready to take on Columbus North in the 1 p.m. game at Bedford North Lawrence. Bailey, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. So the most obvious place to start is Saturday night and finally breaking through that sectional drought. Just the emotions, that moment. Just talk me through what that was like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, it was just so overwhelming because, Reitz girls basketball hasn't won a sectional since 1990. So I think it's been 36 years. So this win has, just meant everything to our program, kind of just breaking that streak, so really proud that I got to do it with this group because I just love all these girls so much.
Is it when those final seconds tick off, does it even seem real? Is it like what is that like emotionally for you?
Man, I feel like I almost blacked out in a sense. Like the clock was ticking down and I felt out. So I was on the bench and I was just watching the clock run out. And then it almost felt like everything was kind of slowing down, and then we just all started celebrating, and it was the coolest moment.
What is it like sitting out the final, what was it, 2:30 of that game?
Yeah.
And having to watch that.
Yeah, it was really stressful because honestly, I was so mad at myself because I was not being smart with my fouls. But I knew my team could do it. I was just there cheering them on, and I knew we could get the job done.
So what do you say during timeouts or in play stoppages? Are you involved with the coaches trying to calm everybody down, or what's your role in that moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just kind of going up to everybody, be like, "Hey guys, we got this. Keep going. Time's running out. We can do this. Let's just hold on to the lead."
Did you think did your belief ever waver that you guys would see this moment, or at least during your 4 years of high school?
Man, honestly, okay. So from the beginning, that's kind of when our program started its growth. So I feel like there was a little bit of self-doubt at the first couple years of being here, but last year and this year I feel like our confidence has just grown so much within this program and everything.
I was talking to Soap before we jumped on here, and he mentioned your relationship with Coach Stone. And if you could just talk me through what you guys have been through here over the past 3 seasons and what he's meant to you in your career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Coach Stone, he just means the most to me. He's honestly he's such a great guy, but he's also the first guy to tell you what you need to work on. So I feel like that also has helped me grow not only as a person but as a player as well. Confidence
wise too, it sounds like he's kind of been a big role in instilling that in you.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, no, he's always the first one in my corner, just always believing in me and telling me that I can always do it.
I think he mentioned you actually as one of the reasons that he wanted to go there in the first place. I guess, what is it like to hear that when you hear that from a coach?
Oh, that's sweet. That means so much to me, honestly. I'm just so glad that he's here. He's really helped this program, just kind of climb. So I'm just really excited for, how we finish out the season, and even after the season's over, how the program continues to climb.
Let's talk about your role with this team. Obviously, you've had some big games here in the sectional, but the season overall, it's been kind of the sophomores stepping up alongside with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just tell me how your role has kind of developed and evolved as the season's gone on.
Yeah, so the past couple years, I've normally played the point guard position, but this year I'm more off the ball. And so Keela Mitchell, she's our point guard this year. So I'm me and Ryan and Kirsten, we're all kind of playing off the ball. So really just trying to find my role with that, because also I think it was this spring for AAU, that was really the first time I got the chance to play off the ball. So I think playing that really helped me kind of get used to playing that this year, because I got some experience in that over the summer.
What are the challenges, or what were the adjustments for you in moving off the ball and playing there more?
Mm-hmm. I think it was being able to get myself open, because when you have the ball, it's easier to create stuff for yourself, but also when you're off the ball, the pressure might be more intense, or people might be denying you more. So just really working on how to get open and how to create stuff for yourself and for your teammates too.
Clea, let's talk about her a little bit. How have you seen that kid step up into that point guard role?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she's stepped up immensely. I love having her on the team. She's just a spark of energy that our team needs. If she's fired up, we're fired up. She's so amazing.
How'd the kids handle the pressures of sectional, especially in those late game situations?
Who?
How did the young kids handle that late game pressure and sectionals and whatnot?
Yeah, they handled it really well. They honestly stepped up. I was always in their corner, just telling them hey guys, it's fine. I know the moment's big. I know the atmosphere is crazy, but let's just tune all that out and we'll be fine.
For you, I guess, just it seems like statistically it's unlocked another level for you. But does that just kind of come naturally for you? Is that something where you take a concerted effort to take some more shots, to find your shot a little bit more? I guess just how do you approach postseason play as a standout player?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, just kind of almost I do kind of let the game come to me, because it's sometimes not every game's going to be your game. So, really just going with the flow of the game, and, also knowing to step up when you need to as well.
We've talked about obviously the sophomores, but who are some of the other kids that have been stepping up for you guys and showing out?
Mm-hmm. Kendall Kaiser, she's a senior. She's our 5 and also plays the 4. To Summer Johnson, our 5, and also kind of plays the 4. Them two have been honestly so helpful for us. They're always getting lots of rebounds and just really making the hustle plays.
That's awesome. Columbus North now, just looking at them and seeing them a couple times. What stands out to you when you see them?
Mm-hmm. Their team is full of shooters, so we really need to be aware on the defensive end of who's on our side, because in our matchup zone, I feel there are gaps open, so we just have to worry, about who the personnel is and just make sure we keep a hand up.
Are they comparable with the way that they shoot the 3 ball? Are they comparable to anybody that you guys have seen, or just in general the way that they shoot the ball?
They remind me of Castle a lot, to be honest, because they do put the ball on the floor really well too. So honestly, I feel playing Castle has really prepped us for that, because Castle can shoot the lights out of it as well.
In terms of atmosphere environment, what are you expecting there for Saturday? Are you expecting a pretty big turnout there from the Reitz faithful?
I think so. Yeah, I think they got a fan best for us or something. So hopefully some students will ride up and show out for us.
That's pretty sweet. So obviously, hopefully there's more games for you to come. But as things stand now, I guess, and looking back on your career, what do you hope your legacy is that you leave behind at Reitz?
Yeah, I just hope that I inspired the young girls, to keep going, because at the beginning of my career, I feel our program did face some tough moments, but I feel now, the past couple of years, we've really shown that our team has just been able to grow in that aspect, and our motto is finish the job, and I feel that's what we really embodied this year, because last year we fell short to Gibson Southern in sectionals in the championship. So I feel this year we obviously finished the job and we ended up winning. So I don't know. I just really want the young girls to be inspired by that.
When you're going through those tough moments as an underclassman, is it difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to see some of those silver linings and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. It was at first, but the seniors, my freshman and sophomore year, they were just super nice and encouraging, and they were always in my corner just telling me that it's all going to be good.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Bailey, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Best of luck here this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Bailey Hape from Evansville Reitz with us, preceded by Shana Williams and Ahniyah Bennett, Addi Jones of Connersville. Danny, let's pause quickly on that Columbus North Evansville Reitz game. Columbus North is an interesting team, just looking at the numbers that they have. I think you and I had talked about them earlier in the season, but a lot of guards, and they shoot the ball at a pretty decent clip, and they can get up and down on you pretty well.
Yeah, Kaylee Harmon's the real deal, man, at point guard. I kind of talked about how there was contrasting styles in the sectional championship game between Columbus North and Kaylee Harmon and their point guard, and East Central and Natalie Stenger and their point guard. You know, the one thing about Kaylee Harmon is that she is shooting. Let me see if I can get it here real quick. I think it's over 40%, 43% from the 3-point line. That's on 142 attempts. She's got a clip and she can make shots. But what's interesting about Kaylee Harmon is her first step is it's quick. Like she has a very good first step. And so she can get you going backwards. She handles really nicely in a box, and they can create some of her kind of one-on-one moves for 3-point shots just out of her own handle and that quick first step. That is counterintuitive to what you might think about Kaylee Harmon. And I think Kaylee, I know her a little bit, like I think she'd be the first to admit to you that if she was standing on a baseline getting ready to race Keela Mitchell or Natalie Stenger or somebody that she has to play against, like she might not win, but if she has to get from the top of the key to the block with the basketball, she can get there as quick as anybody else. Kaylee Harmon is really the engine and the battery power of this Columbus North team, and she makes everybody better. Last year, they also had a kid by the name of Miley McClellan who was hurt, came back toward the end of the season. They should have probably made this run last year, kind of being right there with East Central again. But some of the continuity and it was maybe disrupted through the injury. McClellan has played more consistently this year and has given her some nice length and a nice secondary option from a scoring perspective to make Kaylee Harmon even more effective. And so I think what we're seeing with Columbus North in the regional round is really the product of Kaylee Harmon's game refining and then the pieces around her kind of falling in place. But I really like Columbus North for those two reasons. And then I would add this last reason is that they're old. Like they're seniors and juniors, and you know how I feel about that.
And that's interesting too, because on the right side, Bailey Hape's obviously one of the centerpieces, but she's kind of gone from having to be that leading scorer, and it was addressed in the interview, but now it's like some of the sophomores are starting to step up. She mentioned a couple of names there, but just the younger kids are really starting to settle in and pick up a lot of that scoring weight, and it's a lot more of a balanced effort across the board, but it's a senior leading a bunch of sophomores.
Yeah, I don't think that we need to overcomplicate this, right? Like when we would talk about Reitz during the year, I would talk about how really good like Keela Mitchell and Ryan Wagner are. They're both sophomores. They're both in the 28 class. We're going to hear and see Reitz, in relevance here in the next couple of seasons because those two kids are really talented. Ryan Wagner she's really impressive. And one of the things that happened in that interview that people might have missed, or if you tuned out, like just lock back in for this individual comment. Bailey Hape was on the bench at the end of that game because she fouled out. You need to close the sectional against Grants and Polheis and Castle and all of those kids who are long-tooth seniors, really, really experienced with your senior leader on the bench. There's something to this Wagner and Mitchell piece that I think is just winning basketball. So not only are they talented, but now they're also closers. This one can go either way. I do think that the age in the end is going to matter. It'll be interesting to see what Columbus North does with Bailey Hape, and she hit a couple of deep threes in that game. Those are huge momentum builders. I would be surprised if Columbus North is going to allow that to happen. So we'll see. Which kid of these seniors, like whether it's or not just the seniors, but which kid can create their own shot. We talked about the creation that Kaylee Harmon has. Wagner can also create her own shot and Hape can also. So we'll see which kid can kind of create their own off script stuff.
Going to be joined here in about 5 minutes by Kristi, Ulrich, and Jillian Sanderson from Penn. Let's move up to the 4A North then, since that's where we're going to be going next. Let's talk about Snider Norwell. We didn't get a chance to talk about this so much on Saturday night after the championship game. It's a rematch from earlier in the season. That game, the score doesn't look great. It was a big Snider win, but that should come with the context that Norwell was coming off a hard-fought game over Valparaiso just a few minutes earlier, and kind of that impromptu triangular that they had. I'll start the conversation with this. It's a lot of experience for Norwell, two-time state finalist, won a state championship last year down in 3A against a Snider team that's young, but they kind of wear that almost as like a chip on their shoulder where they get that people down them because they aren't very experienced. We people picked against them in the sectional 2 years in a row now, found a way to get through both years and did so this year in pretty decisive fashion against a Northrop team that seemed to maybe potentially be putting things together and figuring them out at just the right time. So it's a really interesting matchup in those terms of just experience and the underdog mentality and all of that and how those pieces fit together, because Norwell isn't supposed to be here either.
Which is stunning to me, because it's like, you're right when you say that. But I also think I am too with what I'm about to say next, which is, have we underestimated the accomplishments of what this 26 class at Norwell really has done already and is on the precipice of having the chance to do? You mentioned it just as just a preceding sentence. They've been to the state championship twice. Well, 3A, okay, they lose to Gibson Southern based on the strength of a Kyle Brasher halftime adjustment. They actually led that game at the half. They come back, beat the number 1 undefeated Greensburg team in the state championship. They jump up to the 4A level. They knock out Homestead, who a lot of people think were the favorites in the North. And they're on a path with a realistic chance to win another state championship after jumping up in the class. Like this, I mean, again, is this one of the best senior class accomplishments, like collectively as a group, as we've ever seen? That's collective, like over the last 3 years. It's also littered with these individual great performances. Like if it weren't for Lillie Scholl's 42. Oh, by the way, I watched the Northridge Homestead Warsaw game. We got some thoughts on that. But anyway, back to Norwell. If it wasn't for the 42 that Lillie Scholl had at Goshen against Warsaw to knock them out, the 6 threes that Vanessa Rossworm hit, 2 of them, 1 to, I think, get to within 1, and then back-to-back, another one to take the lead. 6 threes in that game en route to a game high. I think it might have been 28 or 29. This is not the first time she's done this as well. So I think when I watch Norwell this weekend, I think I'm going to be watching Norwell with this in mind. If they keep winning, that all-time best class kind of thing in the last maybe 15, 20 years, I think becomes a real conversation. What these kids have done has been unbelievable. Snider stands in their way. I'm certainly not putting them in the semi-state yet, but what's not to like about Norwell right now? Their experience, they shoot it, they guard, they're unique, the tough scouts, they're old, they're experienced, they have championship pedigree. Like, what's not to like about this Norwell basketball team? And so I don't really honestly see it stopping this Saturday.
I'm really interested to see how Snider's athleticism and the things that they're able to do with Cooper, how that tilts things against that Norwell thing, because he's one of the teams that they've had trouble with. They've had trouble with Warsaw. So I'm kind of interested to see how that dynamic fits together. But you're right in terms of what Norwell and the way that Eric has framed it, at least in our conversations, like they're trying to do the impossible. They're trying to jump up to 3A and win a state championship at 4A, which is a ridiculously difficult task when you say it out loud like that. But you're right. They've proven the ability to do it. And let's not forget how good the 3A North was last year when they had to take out Columbia City, Bellmont, who we'll talk to here later tonight. They were stacked. Like, there are just so many good teams in the 3A North that Norwell had to go through in order to get there too. So it's no small feat what they did. And then to come within a reach of Gibson Southern team that did the same thing that they did and then found success last year in 4A, getting to semi-state, and then to knock off a Greensburg team last year that everybody thought was, maybe the best team in the state at the time, is a really impressive feat for them.
Yeah, and props to Snider. And here's a little bit of a clue going into this game. I actually had it wrong. I had maybe the right thing to talk about, but the wrong team to talk about it with. I talked about how Northrop's zone presented a lot of athleticism and length in passing against passing angles. And those are the things that gave Homestead trouble. So I was talking about how, hey, if Northrop can get by and then present the same problems that Norwell presented to Homestead, then Homestead could be in trouble. Well, Snider didn't have any problem with it. They played a lot of that same matchup zone that Katie had run against Homestead against Snider, and they didn't have any problem with it. So it's all matchups. That's such a cliche when it comes to postseason basketball, but it is. And maybe Fort Wayne Snider playing against Northrop and then just being a week removed and then having the familiarity with what Norwell is going to do with their odd front actions on the defensive side. maybe there is some comfort level with how to space the floor and direct line passing and skip passing and things like that. Those are concepts that can transfer over. Whereas if you play Norwell, maybe sandwiched between two pack line quarter court man teams, it could definitely be something that we could be talking about on Sunday. Is maybe Snider just matches up really well against Norwell.
4:00 p.m. start for that one up in Bellmont. Danny, let's keep going north. Let's go up to LaPorte, where Penn is going to be playing Crown Point. We're joined now by Coach Kristi Ulrich and freshman Jillie Sanderson. Guys, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see you. Jillie, how are things? Can she not hear us? Danny, can you talk and see maybe?
Jillie, are you muted?
See if you're muted.
While she messes with that, Coach K, congratulations. It's probably nice to be back, right?
Yes. It feels really good to be back. I mean, it's been a hot minute. But it's not about me. It's about those kids having the opportunity to kind of see, just be able to see all the time and the hard work that they put in and be able to climb up that ladder and cut those nets down. That's just the ultimate best feeling is for me to see those kids just be so excited.
Kristi, how have you navigated this season? A young lineup too. You lose 3 kids to season-ending injuries. I mean, how have you gotten them through this and to this point?
Wow, I've gotten that question a lot. We started the season with not the same team that we had during the summer due to injuries, and then Jillie moving here from Tennessee, and then it was just, hey, we're just throwing them in the fire, and we're going to play our tough schedule, and whatever comes of it, we just want to be the best that we can possibly be at the end of the season, and we just want to maximize everybody's potential. And then we had another girl go down, and so it's just like next man up mentality. That's really what we've had all season long. And some of these young kids have really stepped up and played with a lot of poise and composure. And, I don't think a lot of people expected us to be where we are right now. And that's just a proof to, what the kids were able to accomplish this season, all of their hard work and their efforts.
Going to try to bring Jillie in now. Jillie, can you hear us? She can hear us, but we can't hear her. So we'll try to reset it one more time. We've had like the worst luck in the world with sound on here. There's a chat box on the right, a private chat where you can talk to us directly over IM. So I'll communicate with you there. Daniel, you take this for a couple. I get the technological things sorted out.
Kristi and Coach K, I said congratulations to you, and I made the reference about it must be good to be back. It kind of is on the same lines of what Hank was talking about with the youth of your roster and the newness of your roster. You're no stranger to the regional round.
Yeah.
You're no stranger to the semi-state round, and you've even coached in the state championship in the last, half dozen years or so. What is your message to those young kids about navigating the regional and semi-state rounds? That all the coach speak, the one game at a time stuff, but what from your experience can you impart on these young kids to really help prepare them for Saturday's matchup?
I think, for me, you're right. The one game at a time mentality is also huge. But just to, reassure the girls that, we're going to stay true to who we are, from a coaching standpoint. We want to keep things as normal as possible. There are going to be some things coming up where you have media and things like that coming in, but just sticking to your routine and for them to, trust their training and to trust each other out there on the court, because that's what got them to this point right now. So just being really confident and reassuring that, you deserve to be here. You earn the right to be able to be here.
I'm going to stumble through this, Coach K, but I was probably the only person watching the stream at this point in time, but you're up 34. Sanderson's at the line. You're still standing up and the jacket is still on. You're still coaching and you're trying to prepare your kids, right? And then it seemed like, and we've all been there as coaches on both sides of this, but that's like we're going to get layups. We're going to execute. We're going to run some clock. Okay. She's standing at the free throw line. She misses the second. Werner gets the offensive rebound, puts it back, and then Jillian tips it back out to the top in a controlled tip. You run more clock. She gets a downhill, gets a layup. Okay. just that sequence in and of itself. A freshman's not supposed to be able to understand and make plays like that in this setting. I mean, and I'm just talking about Sanderson specifically on that possession, but all of these young kids use Check and Werner and even Dawson on some level. I know she's a little bit older, but you just have a team that just seems to make winning plays. That's my impression of it. Can you corroborate that with seeing them every day in practice and through your tough schedule?
Well, you know, we do a lot of scenarios in practice that simulate, you know, being up, being down, having it be a tie game, have different types, you know, just different types of situations throughout the season. So that way, when we run into different types of scenarios, you know, they're able to, you know, approach it with more confidence and more ease, you know, overall. But, you know, Jillie specifically, I mean, she comes from a basketball pedigree, you know, her mom and her dad, and she's been around basketball her whole life. You know, her brothers, everybody plays. I mean, they're just a basketball family. And so, you know, she just has a knack for certain things because she's just been around the game so long with her IQ and her poise and her knowledge. So, you know, she's, you know, people, you know, see her and they're like, I can't believe she's a freshman because she plays a lot of times like she could be a junior or a senior. But again, that's a credit to, you know, her environment that she's grown up in. And then also all the hard work that she puts in. I mean, you got to kick this kid out of the gym. I mean, she's just always trying to get up more shots.
Oh.
It worked.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Jillie, we'll jump right into things. You heard what Coach said, I guess. Just how has the adjustment been for you for not only high school basketball, but playing in a new state entirely?
It's been really good. I'm really thankful that I'm in Indiana right now, even though, like, when we moved, it seemed like it was going to be, like, the end of the world, but I'm really happy to be here.
How has it been making the jump to varsity basketball? Has it been much of a learning curve for you? You've been able to kind of jump in pretty quickly.
Well, last year I played varsity because in Tennessee you can play.
Oh, okay.
Like as a middle schooler. So technically I'm like a sophomore.
Get you ahead of the curve a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jennings, go ahead.
Jillie, welcome to Indiana basketball. I mean, it's better with you in it, and I've known you the last couple of seasons and through the Tennessee stuff. I have a question just for our audience. We celebrate ourselves because we deitize Indiana girls high school basketball, Indiana basketball altogether on both sides. What is your impression early of Indiana high school basketball in relative to Tennessee high school basketball, postseason, so on and so forth?
Well, there's definitely a lot of talent that we've seen, and it's just like really competitive. Like even if you're playing a team that isn't very good, they're still going to compete. So I think that's like a big difference.
Coach K, I'm going to ask you another kind of follow-up question about Jillie, and when you watch Penn streams, there, yes, I mean the nice things that are said about Jillie, it's, I mean, everybody seemingly from the sideline reports to the color commentary, everybody has something to say about it. You've had great point guards in the past. I mean, all the way back to like the Kelsey Reynolds of it all, way back in the day. But now you have Ari Rowell, you have Lane Lyles, you have Jillian Sanderson, South Bend, in that area. You have three of what maybe are the 5 or 6 best college prospects in the area. You've got one of them. Just talk about the progression that you've seen Jillie and what you challenge her to do, because you know that the endpoint is so far down the road and the ceiling is really so high with Jillie. What's your focus with her right now?
Right now, it's just continuing to have her grow as being that coach out on the floor, being able to manage situations. For example, her and I, we just had a conversation about, we get an offensive rebound and everybody's clustered together. Go get the ball and pull us back out, get the spacing on the floor, and be able to manage to give us a good, solid possession. To huddle teammates up, reassure them, just to be that floor general out there, and challenging her to keep growing in that area specifically is huge. And that's a lot of weight on a freshman's shoulders, but I have a lot of trust in her, and I believe that she truly knows that. And to keep continuing to challenge her each and every single day that's kind of more from the mental standpoint, continuing to grow as a point guard, because she's just got so many talents and gifts from the physical standpoint. And I think another thing that really kind of separates Jillie from a lot of other younger players is she loves to play defense. That's like part of like who she is. Like, she wants to get after people, and a lot of times that's not necessarily something that somebody has in their tool belt, but she definitely has that. And you guys, how I coach. I mean, defense is one of the staples in our program. So that just makes her more of a complete player because she plays both sides of the ball.
Kristi, with her having varsity experience coming from Tennessee, does that allow you to coach her differently? Like, were you able to coach her a little bit harder, a little bit more, I guess, advanced, for lack of a better term, when she got into the doors?
I mean, I'm going to coach her the same way that I would coach, any other player. I'll get on her when I need to. I'll encourage her when I need to. I'll praise her when I need to. It's just nice for her to be able to have had some of that experience. Obviously, that should, that allowed her probably to start the season with a little bit more confidence and things of that nature. But, I'm going to coach her like I'd coach anyone else, regardless of what level of experience she has.
I'll stay with you, Coach K. What's the early film on Crown Point? I know you've played them already. There's a ton of familiarity with them. I'll certainly ask about the Richie matchup to Jillie specifically, but what's the early read on Crown Point, and what's the film say?
Well, obviously, we played them earlier in the season, but they do what they do, and they do it really well. They're very physical. They're going to grind it out defensively. Like I said, be really physical. But obviously, Richie is the heartbeat of that team. She's going to really control everything that they do out there on the court, and she does a great job at that. To see her and think that, geez, she's only a sophomore, I think that she plays well beyond her years as well. And then obviously they have the Henderson girl on the inside at 6'4", and being 6'4", obviously, that's a pretty big target on the interior. But they run a lot of, specific actions to try to get, Richie the ball, whether it's off of the zoom or double ball screens or re-screens or elevators, all of those types of things. So like I said, they're very familiar with them, and they have a lot of nice complementary players around those two, who would probably be the two at the forefront of their team overall. And those kids, do a nice job playing their role and defending.
And that's a huge assignment, Jillie. I mean, Ava Richie, and your coach said it, is the heartbeat of everything. I'm sure she said it already in practice. I'm sure at times there's going to be, and you're not telling me if you're checking up half court man or whatever, but at some point in time, you're going to find yourself in the same part of the floor with her, whether she's guarding you or you're guarding her. How excited are you for that matchup? I mean, she's one of the better point guards in the country. You're one of the in the state. You are as well. I mean, how much are you looking forward to that one?
I'm just excited to go up against a good point guard. It's exciting to go against good players and be able to shut them down.
Yeah. Jillie, do you have an appreciation? I talked to Coach K, and you were messing with your camera, so you might not have been listening, but do you have an appreciation for the tradition out of Mishawaka and Penn and Coach K specifically, and the great players, whether they're Savetti or Reynolds and Troy? I mean, do you have an appreciation for that right now, or has this just been just a lot to take in, and you have to kind of compartmentalize different things?
I feel like I'm still learning about it because I'm still new, but yeah. Sorry, I didn't really.
Coach K's been on a lot of ladders, so we'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's fun to hear about it, and it's just amazing to be in such a great and accomplished program.
I have a closing question, or maybe not a closing question, but a question for both of you guys. You had that run there where you had the Intera Classic, where you played the likes like Homestead, Franklin Central, Westfield. What did you take away from that event? What did you learn about this group, I guess, during that run?
For me, our first game of that Intera Classic was Homestead, and they absolutely basically mopped the floor with us. And so I just really feel that, after that happened, that was a little bit of a turning point for us, because, we had played Valpo and we had played Warsaw, and those are obviously two. We have other teams on our schedule as well, but Valpo is a big game to come out with, the very first game of the season, and we probably weren't ready for that. But then we come out against Warsaw, who is one of the top teams in the state, and we were intimidated, we were scared, and then we kind of regenerated some energy and did some really positive things, and then we came out and we got smacked around by Homestead, who's obviously a fantastic team. But from that moment on, it was like, we've got to grow up and we've got to mature and we've got to be ready for this big stage when we're playing against these high level teams, because they put their shoes on the same way that we do, and we've got to come out and compete for 32 minutes. So I think after that game, we couldn't sit and dwell on that loss to Homestead. We had to bounce back and play Franklin Central right away, and then follow up, we didn't know who we were going to play in that second game on the second day, but it ended up being Westfield, another ranked team. So we didn't have time to dwell on that. We had to bounce back right away and refocus.
Well, and I'm going to ask that you go another level on that comment, because you have Crown Point. They beat Hammond Morton, who's 18-1, and have Kyla Patterson, and then they have to play Joe Huppenthal in Lake Central. I don't know if you were below a running clock before the fourth quarter in any of your sectional games. How much of a concern is that kind of this weird time? And because you've had South Bend, Washington in your sectional in the past. You've had Northridge in your sectional in the past. The sectional presented a different look for you this year, and you were able to make light work of it. How much of a concern is it going into the early portion of the Crown Point game, knowing that they did something that you didn't really have to do?
Great question. I think it comes back to the tone that we set in practice. So now about not allowing ourselves to be, complacent, stay hungry, stay focused, all of those things. So, I know as the coach that, we're not going to allow them to just be like, oh, well, here we are. Let's just be happy to be here. No, we've got to be locked in and got to be ready to go. And we can't take our foot off the gas at all. If you were watching those games in the sectional, I coached till the final buzzer went off, regardless of who was on the floor. So we're not going to relax at any second. I think that's one of the things that, my kids know, like, I'm going to keep coaching. We're going to keep expecting the best out of you each and every time you step on the floor, whether it's game or practice, to not get not allow yourself to become complacent.
Jillie, one last question. I'm going to get you guys out of here. What's been like your favorite or coolest gym that you've gotten to see, either as a player, a fan, spectator, whatever it may be? Is there anything that jumps out to you yet?
There was a lot of hype about the Mishawaka gym, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't know. I don't think there's been like amazing gyms. They're all good enough to play in. So
give it a year or two, I suppose, and Kristi's going to have you out, I'm sure, playing at some of these really cool ones. Like, I feel like a Hall of Fame probably before long, things like that.
Who knows? Maybe even downtown.
Yeah. Who knows?
That would be a blessing.
That'd be pretty sweet. Thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. Kristi, it was great to see you. Jillie, it was good talking with you, and best of luck here on Saturday.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Kristi, Ulrich, Jillie, Sanderson with us here on the Scorers Table. Danny, we're going to bounce right on to our next guest because we've managed to fall behind schedule. Joined now by Kristi, Sigler, and Mollie Ernstes. Guys, what's up?
3A South.
Can you guys hear us? Danny,
Mo.
you should talk.
Can you guys
Mo.
hear us?
Yeah, I got you, Kristi. Mo, you on here too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Can you guys hear? Can you hear me? It's doing this fun thing, Danny, where they can't hear me again. So this one's all you.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Can you guys hear me if I switch down here? No, yeah, it's all you, Danny.
We can't hear.
Okay. You can't hear Hank.
We
Okay.
can't hear.
Well, take it easy on me. This is gonna be my attempt at being a journalist.
We could hear him in the entire last one.
Yeah, no, it's happened for a couple episodes. That's okay. He'll write a story and so on and so forth. I got to start here. Okay. Mo, I've known you for a long time. Kristi, I've known you for a long time. Mo, you put your hands over your head and cried when you won sectionals. And I don't say that to embarrass you. I say that because I want to know how and why. Where did that emotion come from? That you've been wearing something that just released on the floor. It must have been, but that reaction to you guys winning a sectional championship in North Vernon, Indiana for Jennings County High School had to mean so much to you. Can you put that reaction into words for us?
Yeah, it just meant the world to me. That's something that's been my goal since I became a Lady Panther in elementary school. You know, I've always wanted a sectional championship, and just coming so close, like all 4 years here, and not being able to get one, and just being able to do it with this group, especially my senior year, it just meant the world to me, and I'm sure it did to Kristi too. But yeah, it just meant the world to me.
And Kristi, with and in all the Woodard years and all the Woodard plus Ernstes years, and now it's this is the team that did it for you. This is the team that got by. This is the team that was on ladders cutting nets. Can you talk about what is the composition of this roster, or what's unique about this roster that made this the one that you got the sectional on?
I just think you look at this group of kids and they work so hard every day, and I think they understand roles. I think they've understood defensively what we're trying to do, and they came to work every day at practice. You cannot say enough about what this group has done. There's been zero drama the entire season, and just every day it's been a fun day of practice, fun day to coach. And you saw, I think earlier in the year when we we lost to Cathedral on our home floor, and then the way we responded and the fight and the toughness. And you look at our losses, we have 6 losses, and 4 of those were by a total of 12 points. So
that's right.
It's just the fight. They fought at every game, and I just couldn't be more proud of a group of kids.
Mo, in a previous episode, Hank and I were joking back and forth with each other. You guys were up 38-12 at the half, but I was just getting score updates. I wasn't really getting like game flow updates and statistic updates. And I told Hank, I was like, you get a text update that's like Jennings County is up 38-12 at the half. You would immediately think that Mo has 25 and is just going crazy. You finished that basketball game with, I think it was like 14 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. Let me say that again. 11 assists. Something totally different than what you would expect when you take down Greensburg in the sectional championship. That one, I guess I'll ask it this way. That has to make Kristi feel really happy, but how did you feel about that performance?
Well, I didn't really, so there was a situation with film, and we actually didn't have the game.
We don't have our game,
so we haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a rough subject, but she actually just showed me my stats before this, and so I had no clue what I had. And obviously the assist came from Greensburg sending a double team at me and just my teammates being able to convert off my passes. So I wouldn't have those stats without them. So
well, Kristi, Addi Young, I mean, and we'll start there because, we're certainly going to, we'll just do Addi Young and Riley Byford. I mean, both of them, right? I think they actually had the top 2 team high honors. Probably not how you drew it up, but probably knowing that that's the way that people are going to maybe guard you the rest of the season. The performance of the players not named Mollie Ernstes on your basketball team has to have you really, really happy moving into this week of practice, right?
Yes. I mean, you look at our first quarter, every one of our starters hit a 3 in the first quarter. Yep. And we talked about just going into the game fearless. You're going to have open looks. It's zero hesitation, step up, knock them down. And Mollie we were able defensively, I can't say enough about how disruptive we were defensively. And then we were able to get some steals early, some transition baskets on top of those 3s, and then Mollie found people all night long. So.
Well, I'll move you over to Hank on this. He's going to ask about Silver Creek and all that, but I'll just get it kind of started. Like, what's the early film say? Can you get their stream? Do we even know there's familiarity? You've played them. There's a lot with this matchup that I think you maybe don't need film for necessarily. But what's the early read on Silver Creek?
We played them recently, just January 31st. We went to their place on their senior day, and we really wanted to get that game in because it was a week of weather where we had not got to practice, and we didn't want the 13 days off before we played Greensburg. So you look at them, you look at personnel wise, there's a lot of similarities in what we can do. And it's just a matter of, we had 20 we gave up 20 points off of turnovers. We've got to value the basketball when we play them again.
Can you hear me now? I'm guessing that's a no.
Yes.
You can
I
hear
can.
me, Danny. They cannot hear me. That's the problem.
Wait.
Okay.
So
I
they
gotcha.
can hear each other, I think.
We can hear each other, so we're just – I don't even know I'm explaining this. Danny, go ahead and ask some pops on Silver Creek.
Well, they've done it a different way than you guys, right? So Mollie's been guarded with box and ones and face guards and double teams all year, but now you go to the Silver Creek side of things, and in their Friday night matchup and their Saturday night matchup, it's really Ren and Shane that have done all of their damage. In fact, the statistics would actually bear that out. Ren and Shane had 48 of their 54 points on Friday night, and they had 39 of their 62 points on Saturday night. That's 75% of their offensive production over the weekend came from 2 players. So, that being said, how do you deal with Ren and Shane, Kristi? Like, this is, I mean, they're a load.
And the way they do it, right? They're looking for each other, dribble handoffs, ball screens, like flare screens, and it's a matter of communication. We have, you know, I think one thing that I've always been told is don't go in with one thing, make sure you have an adjustment and you have an adjustment to that. So we've worked on that a lot this week, and I think we're all right.
And Mo, we'll get you out on this. What would this mean for you? And I referenced it, and I don't want to use the same lead into the question that I did before, but you've been there with Julianne Woodard. You've had one of the best players in the class. You've seen the evolution of Jennings County. You've dealt with the Bedford North Lawrence kind of mini sectional dynasty that they had. I don't think anything mini about the 12 straight, but you've dealt with all this. This has to be just a dream run for you. What's this week been like, and how important would it be to get to the 3rd weekend of this tournament?
I mean, obviously this week has been just overall exciting. Like, everyone's so excited for what we've done with this program. I mean, just to be able to get a sectional win for the first time in 21 years is something that it doesn't just go away after that night. Like, you're still thinking about it, and we still are thinking about it. But going in tomorrow, I could be all hyped up on, you know, I am playing against my Kansas teammate, playing against Emma Shane, who I used to play with. But at the end of the day, it's just another game, and we had to come out and play and be us.
Well, that's great. So listen, good luck this weekend. It's going to be very fun. I have talked about how the 3A South is as jumbled of a mess of talent as you could possibly have, and one of the more fascinating storylines kind of moving through this tournament. And we got one of the answers to the questions that we had raised going into the tournament, and the answer is Jennings County. So congratulations and good luck to you girls on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. I was hoping miraculously they'd be able to hear me at the tail end there, but no dice. It's just
no, I know. Go ahead and read them out and shout out
I think
Gabby.
they're still there. I was going to shout out Gabby Morin,
Yeah,
who does really nice video work for them. She had a great sectional recap of that final game. So shout out to her. First sectional championship for them since 2005. They're seeking their first regional championship since 1993. Danny, I'm going to keep us moving here. We're going to jump up north now and down a class to Class 3A. We have East Noble getting ready to take on Bellmont. It's a 1 p.m. game at Bellmont. We're joined by Coach Annie Heim and junior Katie Kitson. Annie and Kate, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for hopping on with us. How's the week been going for you guys? How is regional prep going so far?
I think we've had some pretty good practices, so I'd say it's going pretty good. You can ask Kate that and see what she says.
I think good. I think we're all excited for this upcoming game. It's kind of weird to have a 1 week break like in between games, but I think we've been able to like look at ourselves and look at East Noble and really prepare ourselves.
Danny, go ahead.
I have to ask about the Blakey sisters, and let me qualify that question with this. I think most people in this coverage area of the Indy Star knows that Bellmont is good, but their analysis of your basketball team is really top level, 30,000 feet, and it's mainly just the sisters that they talk about. Before we get into the rest of the roster and what you guys do, what do we need to know about the sisters? Tell us about them from you guys are with them every day. Katie, I'd love to hear your perspective on it, just as their teammate, you know, what they've meant to Bellmont's postseason success the last couple of years and what you expect to see from them on Saturday.
Yeah, they both definitely bring like a different dynamic. I mean, Mary's a beast in the post, and then you got Ashley that's just like quick off the dribble, and they're both like defensively great, but they're sisters and they're twins, so they definitely bring competitiveness to just practice and everyday like games.
And Andy, I mean, we'll get into the East Noble side of things now. I mean, and kind of intermix your own the other pieces that you had that I had referenced. You know, what is your approach to this week? I mean, you have East Noble. They show 1-3-1 on Friday night. They show switching man to man on the pack line on Saturday. I mean, are you trying to prepare for all different scenarios to what East Noble's going to give you defensively, or are you just trying to stay focused on we need to be the best version of Bellmont we can on Saturday? How do you approach a regional week? Because you've been here before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both of those things. I think we need to worry about our stuff and make sure our sets are clean and make sure our defensive rotations are clean. But obviously, you know, we face Norwell in the conference season, and Norwell plays, you know, one of the better, if not the best 1-3-1 in the state. I think that's a good gauge of, you know, where we can go and where we can improve. We can use that game for some improvements. And I think we've looked at that and, you know, made some adjustments here and there. And I think that obviously helps us. But, you know, when it comes down to it, you've got to be able to play your game. You know, we can talk a little bit here and there about what we want to do and then stop East Noble, but we've got to be clean on our end.
Katie, defensively, you played East Noble during the regular season, and you did a good job of keeping all their scores below their season averages. What was the key for you guys defensively and keeping them in check?
I think defense is our identity. That's where like we get all our steals, and that's where like we don't really have to worry about our points, and we get our points. So I think switching up the defense, we're good at being aggressive, but like we have different things that we can throw at them if our man-to-man isn't working.
Yeah. Andy, she mentioned obviously defense kind of being the identity. Is it one of those things where kids come into the program and they're built and wired that way to embrace defense and to love playing defense, or is that something that's kind of a process with kids?
That's a good question. I don't really know. You know, up until last year, we were basically a team that played all 2-3. You know, we had a little bit of a press in there, and we played 2-3 the majority of the time. Actually, Kate's freshman year, we played basically all 2-3. And then that sort of switched last year where, you know, we got this group of sophomores now, and they're really good at just sort of communicating without communicating. Would we like them to talk more? Absolutely. But they sort of just do things and they know where to be. And it made us, you know, pretty dangerous where we could sort of flip back and forth between a zone, between a man, and keep sort of the other team guessing on what we're going to do.
Looking at the numbers, I think Kate has the best plus-minus rating on your team, which would seem to speak to her defensive prowess. What makes her such a special talent, you know, particularly on that end of the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. You know, Kate's basically our point guard, even though we start a handful of guards. She's the leader on the court with the basketball on the offensive and defensive end. I don't really know. It's hard to say. You could probably ask her and see if she has an idea. But her and I have talked about it actually recently where, you know, when she's on the floor, it's just sort of a calming presence for our team. You know, she was gone in the summer and we had to play without her just for a little bit. And I'm not going to say we looked bad, but we just looked weird. We looked different. Something was definitely missing. And, you know, she's that missing part for us.
Kate, defense for you, I guess. Just talk to us about how you would describe yourself defensively, I guess, for lack of a better way of asking that question. And is that something that you embraced? Do you like playing defense?
Yeah, defense has always been my side of the game. I mean, offense, yeah, but defense, I love just like getting aggressive and attacking those like lanes, but also being there for my teammates to rely on me, whether it's help side or wherever they need me.
Andy, I want to ask you about your schedule and the battle testing. You were a great team last year, and I don't know if this schedule is the same. I'm just looking down your list right now. It's ridiculous. Like you guys played Warsaw and Jocelyn Bricker, Northrop with all of that talent and athleticism. Columbia City, you flexed the Norwell thing in a previous answer. You also played Homestead, Schweiderman Sisters at Jay County. Eastside won a sectional. Like you guys, I said this on the past episode, like even when I scout other basketball teams or evaluate other basketball teams in preparation to do a show, you guys are the opponent a lot of times. So that's how I've gotten to be kind of familiar with who you are and what you guys do. But talk about your schedule and the battle testing and maybe what has been different this year heading into the same round as you did last year.
Yeah, it's hard when you put this schedule together and you're looking at 3-year contracts to figure out what teams are going to be competitive with you and what teams aren't. And last year we did play Homestead, and that was sort of the first time since they left our conference that we had picked up Homestead. And then we scrimmaged Warsaw last year, and Coach Krebs and I talked, and he's like, "Hey, let's try to get this on the schedule." And I'm like, a 4A team of that talent, win or lose, do we want to go in there and win? Absolutely. Ask Kate, she definitely wants to win. But it's going to make us better. And even if we, come out the other side and lose, it's not going to hurt us in the sense of hopefully we're learning something about ourselves. We're never going to face, 2 Division I guards that are going to shoot it like that when they did. So it's just going to help us. And, our conference is so tough. Columbia City's in our conference, Norwell's in our conference, East Noble's in our conference. Our conference schedule is something that helps us get ready for this moment too. And we wanted to add those teams that were the high caliber sort of 4A teams that we can see that'll really test us and make us learn something about ourselves.
Cape, for you, obviously some school history on the line here. It hasn't been since '93 that Bellmont's made it out of regional. What would it mean to you to bring it home? Obviously, there's work to do beyond that, but what would it mean to clear this next step?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a great opportunity, and I think for East Noble, it's been a long time too. I don't know if they've ever won regionals, so both teams won it, but I think we're all just excited. Like, we haven't won sectionals in years because Norwell has been down, so just having this opportunity to play with each other and hopefully bring it home.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. Best of luck here this weekend, and hopefully I'll be talking with you guys here again in another week or two.
Thank you.
Yep, that'd be great. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
You guys, good luck.
Annie Heim, Kate Kitson with us from Bellmont. Danny, I'll
That
let
team's
you.
good. That team's good.
Yeah, really
They're good.
Like when you watch, and I think it's Mary. When you watch Mary, like the footwork is pristine. Andy does a really good job of giving her the center of the floor to operate. They're a difficult team to zone because then you almost have to match on that middle flash. She passes the ball. She scores the ball. She's a load for really anybody. In fact, the first time I saw Bellmont play, I was actually watching the other team, and she jumped off the film. I actually just I paused it, Googled, and I was like, oh, this is who it is. And I remember watching, Mary last year, but she is really really an exceptional talent.
I love too the embracing of the defense. Like, talking to Kate about defense was fun. Hearing Coach talk about how this entire team buys into defense in that way too is fun to hear.
Yep.
Let's see. We didn't get a chance to recap Penn Crown Point. That is a fascinating matchup in the 4A North. Like, I don't know which way to go with, but it's like the front end of it is 2 young kids, the freshman Sanders, the sophomore Crown Point, coming together, and what happens from there. Well,
I think the beginning of the game I referenced, that they really, their average margin of victory in the sectional was, I think it was probably 40. Like, they just got away from everybody. And Coach K did exactly what you're supposed to do, which is coach situations. There was a possession late in the first half where I think they were running delay game and then into a backdoor set that they wanted. So they were trying to simulate late game situation where we need to run 20, 30 seconds off of the clock, make sure that we get a layup, something like that. But when the speed and the physicality and the strength and the execution and the talent hits you all at the same time, and you throw on top of that the 4 fan bases in one singular place watching, that I think could be something. I think the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, I think it will be a critical tell for how comfortable Penn will be. I'm not saying that Penn has to lead, but Penn can't. I don't know if you want to spot Crown Point 12. Let's keep in mind that Ava Ritchie is one of the best foul shooters in the state. She's one of the best late game executors at the point guard position in the state. We had both her on and her coach. They were talking about how they take such pride in that. They had an ATO situation against Hammond Morton where they needed a basket with 77 seconds left. They needed a basket ATO. They end up getting an and one on a dive to Ivy Richardson. They really, really execute well down the stretch. So I do think that the lead is important for Penn in this game. And in order to have that late in this basketball game, it is paramount that they get off to a good start. So I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Coach K did something maybe a little bit out of character in the beginning, maybe extended some pressure, something like that, something to get her kids involved, get them diving on the floor, even committing a foul of some sort, just something to get them involved in the game, because they haven't seen anything close to Ava Ritchie and Ivy Richardson in a couple of weeks.
That'll be probably the last regional championship to be decided unless something goes right on one of the others, and it takes a really long time. That one doesn't start until 8 o'clock up there at LaPorte.
Another game. Right. It's LaPorte. Yeah. So we're going to know everything. Okay, cool. That's cool. All right.
Which I believe is where the last time that Valparaiso and Northridge met in the postseason. I believe that's where they had some heroics there. I think it was Lillie and Clark maybe for Valparaiso. I can't remember who it was, but they hit that shot with a couple seconds left to take their first lead of the game late in regulation, and they hung on to win a wild one over Northridge at LaPorte a couple years ago. Anyway, they're meeting again here. The Lillie Scholl versus Lillie Barnes matchup is going to be just tremendous theater. I mean, two kids who can fill up a score sheet, light up a scoreboard in the blink of an eye, going at it one-on-one in an elimination game. I mean, they've both been playing out of their minds this year, both been playing out of their minds of late. Lillie Barnes just crossed 2,000 career points. Lillie Scholl had 40-plus against Warsaw. I mean, my gosh, the storylines are everywhere in this one.
Yeah, so Northridge, and this is the one thing that I kind of have in the back of my mind, and we're going to let Jess and Steven do most of the talking when we roundtable at the end of the episode, but Northridge gives me Lawrence North vibes from last year.
Ooh.
And the reason why they give me those vibes is because they were not supposed to beat Warsaw in the same way that Lawrence North wasn't supposed to beat Lawrence Central, but they did. And when they did, it just springboarded the Lawrence North Wildcats to the state championship, and they ended up beating Warsaw in the state championship. Am I predicting that Northridge is going to win the state championship? No, I'm not. But if they deepen this run and get downtown, the similarities when comparing and contrasting the run that Lawrence North had with this year's Northridge run are going to be very similar. Like I mentioned that I watched that Northridge Warsaw game. This one is very interesting because now, look, in the excitement of the post game, and I'm not sure who watched that. I mean, we had Doug Springer on, and he was talking about all of the things that he did, but it's just so hectic that you don't really get a chance to really watch the film and look at it. Scholl's 42 is amazing. In fact, it might be one of the best individual performances that we've seen in the postseason this year, probably the best. She had a shot when it was 49-48 Warsaw from her knees. I mean, you can get the clip on social media right now, but what a dream night for her. But there were a couple of things schematically in that basketball game that I think are pertinent into the Northridge-Valpo matchup, and that is how Northridge decided to bring double on Jocelyn Bricker. They brought it from the backside. So what I mean by that is if Bricker goes downhill right, they're not bringing help off strong side corner or even strong side wing. They would wait for Jocelyn Bricker to get to 2 feet, and they would bring help from the backside. That made – now, Jocelyn Bricker had 28. She was fine, but it did bother Warsaw a little bit. Bricker had to adjust because she stopped really playing off of 2 feet. She started playing with her shoulder getting by her defender's hip and extending her layups out past the defender who was really kind of trailing them. That'll be interesting to see how they decide to play Barnes. If Barnes also likes to get into the paint, and she also specifically likes to play off 2 feet when she gets there, and she does change direction on spins in the same way Jocelyn Bricker does. The one thing to watch is this: is Northridge going to bring double in the same way that that they did on Lillie Barnes that they did with Jocelyn Bricker? Because if they did, Lillie needs to watch the Warsaw tape to see how Bricker adjusted to it, and that's a huge storyline going into it.
Lillie's a little bit more of a physical player, though, isn't she? Like, Lillie's got the size a little bit more. Does that offset it a little bit?
There's definitely no question that they get to their spot in different ways. Bricker is super fast, like super duper fast. She doesn't get credit for how fast she is. In fact, mom was a runner. She's one of the fastest kids in Warsaw. Like, she gets downhill. But Lillie Lillian Barnes might not get there in a downhill, I'm going to race you to the block kind of way, but she always gets there. When they get there, they do the exact same thing. They get off of 2 feet, they rock you with their pivots, they read the defense, and then they have you pinned kind of behind. Lillian Barnes is really good at that. And Jocelyn's really good at scoring the basketball from there. Lillian's good at scoring and also kind of distributing and finding shooters. But I am fascinated to see, because I do think that was one thing that was really effective. The other thing too, that, Northridge on Shoal, like, it's the age old question that every coach is asking themselves right now, who coach against somebody like Lillian Barnes, that coach against somebody like Brooklyn Wren or Mollie Ernstes, or any of those players that are still alive, those great individual talents. Warsaw didn't really double Shoal, like very much at all. So we'll see if Valpo decides to double Shoal. And then, now it's Ambers and Riegsecker and all of these other players minus Connolly that are going to have to produce. Now, in that Warsaw game, those Northridge kids made shots, timely, opportunistic shots throughout the second half of that game, which gave them the win. But Lillie was able to get 42 because she was great individually, but she also was able to get 42 because Warsaw really wanted to make sure they stayed home on everybody else.
7 p.m. start for that one at Jimtown, Valparaiso versus Northridge. Danny, we're going to stay in Class 4A. We're going to move closer to home, for me at least. Pendleton Heights taking on Center Grove at 7 p.m. at Greenfield Central. We're joined now by Pendleton Heights coach Nick Rogers. Nick, what's up, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Fantastic. We've been navigating technical difficulties all night, so this is a huge win for us, a big boost for confidence going into the weekend.
Sure.
Hey, I want to start with Grace Lee, because everything that I've heard about that kid, specifically for her performance Saturday, I mean, she was huge in helping you guys lock down Riley Shellhammer in the second half there.
Yeah, for sure. She's a kid that, has come up from Shenandoah, the 2A level, and is extremely gifted athletically. Offensively, she's coming along, getting comfortable in our system. But she has really given us another, dynamic defender to be able to throw at elite guards and things like that. And, she's had a couple tough assignments throughout the year, throughout the season when, Olivia Jones moves to somebody else. Grace has been able to come in and, really, really lock down on people for sure.
With respect to that game Saturday, how did you go about preparation? Once you got past Richmond, how do you prepare for a player who only has one game of film available, and that game was played less than 24 hours earlier?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Riley, there was a little bit more familiarity because, we had played her as a freshman at Fishers.
Oh, sure.
And then we were, she was in that game early in the season at LC. So again, we had a little bit of, history with her. It was just in a little bit different system, playing for Greenfield. So there in the first half, she was able to, find some opportunities at distance when we were kind of trying to figure out kind of what kind of buffer we needed to give her. And then, I think once both of our girls got comfortable with that, they were really able to kind of sink in and really get comfortable in what we were trying to do.
Nick, congratulations. Seems like an annual thing that we congratulate you with these deep postseason runs, though, man. I mean, listen, you're no stranger to advancing into the second and third weekend of these tournaments. How much are you channeling your experience, yours particularly, in the preparation of a one-game standalone regional matchup for this week?
Yeah, I've been blessed. I've won a couple as a player. I've won a couple as an assistant coach. We've now been blessed to win a couple as a head coach. So I think one of the big things for us, our preparation, we really try to prepare for everybody the same way we do, game one against Westfield, the same way that we did against Greenfield in the sectional championship. So, we really try to, you know, it's hard to make it a tournament environment, you know, every game out, but, you know, we're really trying to do a lot of the same things that we would and treat our prep the same way. So we try to kind of, you know, beat our girls over the, you know, the head with the book type of thing to, you know, just kind of stay honed in on, you know, these are the things that we're trying to do at all times. And we definitely talk about it. You know, I know a lot of those girls that were on that regional team last year that, you know, had a decent lead against Elwyn, and, you know, found a way to kind of, you know, break down there towards the end of the third and fourth. I know that they're excited to be back here in this regional, and, you know, hoping that we can, you know, take the next step.
So you're in your post Casey year now, like, and so a little bit of a transition, but still a lot of the same pieces too. I mean, and the obvious, like Olivia and Ada and so on and so forth. Talk about both parts of that question. Talk about post Casey and maybe some of the challenges at the beginning of the season, and then give us the Ada Hupper update from your perspective.
Sure. For sure. You know, and I've told, you know, I've talked to Hank, I've talked to other newspaper articles, you know, it's really tough at the high school level to think that you're going to walk in and replace a Casey Warfel. You know, she's a generational player for us. Not many kids in the state of Indiana score 2,000 points and, you know, are as dynamic and athletic with the basketball that she is. So we knew going in that, you know, things were definitely going to change. And we were, you know, going to have to find a groove without her. I mean, she's doing great things at Taylor University right now. So, you know, we knew it was going to be a challenge. We had kids step into that role. We had some kids transfer in that kind of helped fill some of those gaps with kids that were leaving. But I think, you know, the biggest thing was, I think it really opened up an opportunity for, you know, Olivia Jones to kind of spread her wings to really kind of, you know, kind of blossom and show her skills. You know, Liv's kind of been sandwiched between Casey and Ada, and is one of those players where she's always going to do whatever it takes for a team to be successful, whether that's, you know, steals, rebounds, stuff that's not even charted. And sometimes that in the past that's affected her scoring opportunities. So she's definitely stepped up in that arena. And then when you go to Ada, you know, Ada really added the 3-point shot to her bag this summer. You know, I think she's up around 60 attempts and shooting at, you know, 40% plus from the 3-point line. And, you know, has really just continued to work hard, finishing in the paint, and, you know, really kind of spreading her wings and kind of growing as a leader as well. So she's, you know, one of our girls that's always watching film. She's one of my coaches on the floor that's seeing things sometimes before I even see them. That stuff that's coming from the scout. So that helps when you have a kid like that on the floor.
And she played really well in the 6-point loss in the regional to Lawrence North, the eventual state champ last year. So she has something to build on. You mentioned that she watches a lot of film. You certainly do as well. Give us your impressions of what you see on film from one Grayson Gilliard, I guess.
Yeah. You know, Center Grove and Gilliard are phenomenally talented team. They play exceptionally hard. And, you know, they have a lot of different pieces that can hurt you. You know, I've seen teams that have, you know, tried to double or trap every time Grayson touches the ball. I've seen Mackenzie Pierce, people lose her on the backside and make many, you know, rhythm threes. The freshman, I feel like Tappick has really good feel. You know, great poise, I feel like, for a freshman. You know, they really do. I mean, you see their record and 25-0, and, you know, they really have a team that's built for success. They play a great schedule, and they'll really get up to you on the defensive end and make things miserable for you.
How do you prepare for that defense, Nick? Like, do you have to do something different in practice? What do you do on that side?
Yeah, I think you try to work on some of the things that you can with as much switching and moving around. But man, they're so dynamic. If you drive baseline, they're going to have somebody in rotation ready to shut that down and kind of trap and force it back. So again, I think it's one of those things that's tough, but tough to replicate. You try to do it the best you can and feel like you give your girls the game plan and the strategies to be able to counteract that. And then it's kind of in the players' hands. We can call timeouts and try to adjust, but they're the ones on the court that have to be able to execute.
Sure. Well, Nick, best of luck this weekend. It was great catching up with you, and hopefully we'll be talking here again next week.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Good luck, Nick.
Nick Rogers, head coach of Pendleton Heights, with us here. Danny, one quick thought before we bring on Jess and Steven. Oh my gosh, Jess and Steven.
No, I mean, two quick thoughts. The first is that when you play Center Grove, you can't go empty for 3 consecutive possessions multiple times throughout the game.
Right.
So you have to find a way to channel your offensive efficiencies. I think they'll play through Hupp for quite a bit, but I also think Stuck knows that as well. So I think that's an interesting cat and mouse between Nick and Kevin, maybe early. And then the other is like, how are they going to play that switch on defense? Right. I mean, so Pendleton Heights throughout the year has shown that 1-2-2. I wonder if that's not what we're going to see them play against Center Grove. And I don't want to say that that's going to give Center Grove problems, but I do think that if you let them get real comfortable in their continuity actions, I think they'll find a way to hurt you. So I would expect Pendleton Heights to play multiple defenses, switch up, try to stay ahead of the game flow in that instance. But I'm not sure that the 1-2-2 wouldn't be the way that Pendleton Heights would kind of view this game as the best chance to stop Center Grove. This one is more interesting than you would think. I think Pendleton Heights can provide I think they can present a lot of problems for Center Grove as well.
Real quickly, I'm curious to see who Grayson Gilliard's guarding. Like if they stick around Ada Hupfer, that maybe is the way that you start it. You stick her on her inside, and you see maybe just how the game's being officiated in part. Because if they're calling it really tight, obviously you can't afford Grayson getting into foul trouble. So you switch off maybe and then stick around Olivia Jones. But that's one of the things that I'd be watching for immediately out of the shoot.
Correct. The movement of Hupfer is going to be important, and I think Nick gave us a clue, right? He talked about her 3-point shooting. He knows that he has to move Ada around also, but because Center Grove switches everything in the quarter court man, that an individual matchup early in absence of any ball screens like that, or with the addition of like ball screens and exchanges and things like that, the matchups do change. So it's where do you want Gillie, or do you want her protecting the rim and grabbing defensive rebounds, or do you want her length out bothering some of these 3-point shooters, will be a decision that they'll have to make, because where Gilliard starts isn't going to be where she ends in regards to the match, but where she starts and where she ends on the floor when you switch, typically, like for example, like if you're guarding Hupper, you're probably going to spend most of that possession down low. So again, like there's so much that goes into that's what I love about the regional week round, and we'll ask Jess and Steven about it. Steven recently had to do it as recent as last year en route to a state championship. But my goodness, like this regional round, it is one team, one scout, one film, 1 week to prepare, and then 1 hour to test you on Saturday, and then you're rewarded with the semi-state, or you're rewarded with a trip to Cancun. Like that is, I mean, they see it again in the state championship week. Semi-state's a completely different animal with 4 teams. This one is interesting because it brings in all of those kind of film study things that you can kind of predict.
With that, we're going to go ahead and bring on Stephen Thomas and Jess Darmelio from Carmel with us here to help break things down. Stephen and Jess, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Jess, how was practice?
Second grade practice isn't for me, but a couple weeks left.
Stephen, what's going on with you, buddy? It's been a minute.
Oh, and I'm getting back from middle school basketball today. Well, I went over and watched our Fall Creek Valley girls play against the Ben Davis Giants, Chapel Hill. So still in the gym, still doing it, still grinding.
Love to hear it. I love to hear it. Let's stay on Pendleton Heights Center Grove. You both face Center Grove in the month of January, and I'll start with Grayson Gillard because I think she's obviously the one who's going to draw the most attention. How did you guys approach trying to guard her? How would you approach trying to contain her if you were Pendleton Heights? Steven, we'll start with you and then Jess.
You try to limit opportunities as best as you possibly can. But a player like that is going to create opportunities for herself and her teammates as well. And she does such a great job of impacting the game in so many other facets than scoring. So it's hard to try to dial in and say you're going to take a player like that completely out of a basketball game at the level in which we try to compete and play at, because she's just so versatile in what she's able to do to impact basketball games. Covers, a spread of, she's able to guard, really 1 through 5 with the abilities that she's got and the way that they switch and Kevin's schemes that be able to really highlight every on their team's goal. But she's definitely the centerpiece within that. And so you just try to sit at the table.
Jess, what about you?
Yeah, I think same kind of echoing what Coach said. I think we tried to sag off of Hannah Jen a little bit just because she's not really an outside shooter. So that was somebody we thought maybe on drives and stuff like that we could use to double. But just, her power and just like the way that she is so skilled with the ball, it's very hard to even try to double her. And I don't think that you can see that, as accurately on film as you do, when she's right there in front of you. So again, like Coach said, I think, you got to try to slow her down, but like, there's no way you're taking her out of the game. And then I think for us, particularly the second half, like she took over. So when it mattered, she's hitting shots, she's getting to the rim. She understands that, it could be tied at halftime, but second half, she's going to be the one taking the most shots. And I think that that's what, makes them such a good team is just they have the role players that understand, what they're supposed to do. And they all work so well together.
Steven, I'm curious on the other side, when you had Jemiah last year in that size, it seems like Center Grove, if there's one area that maybe you could take advantage of them, it's with a big post inside. Obviously, Ada Hupfer. How did you do that with Jemiah last year? Was that something you guys made a concerted effort to just kind of hammer away at them inside?
Yeah, absolutely. You just try to just hammer the nail, and put the ball inside. And Jemiah became so great at being able to read defenses and make kicks out to our teammates that, we were able to play through, her inside out and which, over time opened up opportunities for, Kiki Butler and Kaya Hurt and our other playmakers, Naja Winston, to make plays during the last, third, fourth quarter. I heard Coach, allude to that. And at this point in the season and the regional, like you said, it's a you get it so much time. Like Danny was talking about, 1 week, it's a slugfest, right? You're throwing draw fours and wild cards and everything you can, and you see what sticks and you go from make adjustments. But at the end of the day, like you said, players make plays, and like I tried to coin last year, let our queens be queens, and that's what you're going to see throughout the rest of this postseason is these girls that have prepared for these moments, and they're going to be ready to snatch their crown and be the queens that make the plays on the court. So definitely exciting matchup, those two teams with the dynamics that they have on both sides, but like Jess just said, in regards to Center Grove, I'm glad it wasn't just us that she made plays in the second half, Coach. Like she just kind of took over the game, and then kudos to the rest of her teammates too, right? Like they bought into their roles and are able to play off each other, and they make the right plays. That's what this season and this type of the season is all about is your players making the right plays. So two great teams and two great styles of basketball. It's going to come to the players that make plays.
Yeah, they got 8 kids shooting over 8 kids that are shooting over 33% from 3.
That's actually every basketball player on the roster that's hit a three this year, guys.
I was told that I wasn't allowed to talk about this game and this one specific team that I'm going to lead with, but I'm going to violate the gag order. I hope that him and his people have not gotten to you yet. But let's talk about Pike versus Lawrence Central. And we'll start with Pike, much to somebody's chagrin. I mean, that team is really deep. Jess, you had maybe the most success of anybody this season getting that team to overtime. Just talk us through that game, I guess, from your perspective. What was working for your group against them?
Yeah, we came in knowing that we weren't going to be able to guard them getting downhill. I think they have so many dynamic kids that, put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. So we did go zone against them and kind of took our chances. 12, 1, 35, they all hit a couple, but I thought it was less than what we would have given up at the rim. For us, we did hit shots that game. However, we really exploited backdooring. I think they get up in pressure and they want to, get hands on the basketball every pass in the perimeter, every entry pass. And so we really talked about that. I thought we got out in transition and got behind their defense pretty well. But again, like they full court manned us for most of the second half, all of the fourth quarter for sure. And it's suffocating. They're all over the court, they're trapping. So for us, we decided that we were going to kind of switch up press breaks each possession just to kind of keep them a little bit on their toes. But yeah, they're so talented. And I think, it's going to be incredible to see them in the regional and if they can make it out of there as well.
Steven, you guys were shorthanded a couple starters that night when you played Pike, weren't you?
Yes.
What I guess that notwithstanding, what was your approach to them? How were you looking to try and slow down that Pike machine that they have down there?
Just try to be the carriage that's in front of the horses in that sense of things. They've got just so many great and then good players that play off of each other, and then Keith's able to hockey sub at times and keep things fresh and like Coach Justice alluded to, like it can be suffocating and it wears you down and you're tired and it's like whether you continue as a coach to put them in different things like in schemes and things, but they've been able to figure it out how to play together and play off of each other, and that's even on the defensive end. You can see them reading passing lanes and different things, knowing like, okay, they're going to take this to this spot, and when this happens, I'm going to jump on it and be in the right position. So you've got to be prepared to like Coach just said, exploit the over aggressiveness at times. And trying to be able to be strong with the basketball, create fouls or backdoor or cut or movement that you can. But with both of these teams, from experience, it's a 32-minute matchup for to finish, and it's going to be physical from the jump.
How do you go about guarding Lawrence Central? So Jess, and we talked about how you had the success against Pike. Steven, I don't know in the last 3 years if any individual coach has had as much success against Lawrence Central. Not all of them were wins, but as much success against one program as you. So now you're preparing for Lawrence Central and you're Keith Hollins and Pike, and you've got that stable of Division I athletes that you roll out in hockey changes like you guys are talking about. What do you think the keys are in guarding a team like Lawrence Central? Steven, sorry.
You know who their players are, right? You know who their key pieces are with their big three, especially, and Lola Lampley and Kiki Butler and Ahniyah McKenzie. Try to limit Ahniyah McKenzie as much as you possibly can with physicality off the glass and creating second, third, fourth opportunities for them or steals within transition that gets them out in the break. And then it's kind of, you really kind of pick your poison with Lola and Kiki on do you give up jump shots or do you try to, hard press and then they can get to the basket. So it's a complete, utter team effort when it comes to guarding Though that team it's one basketball, but all five have to be engaged because they have such playmakers that make other people better on the offensive end, which makes them tough to guard.
And Jess, against North Central, Lawrence Central went in their first 4 possessions. Ahniyah McKenzie made 3, Laniah Hyatt made 3, Hyatt made 3, Hyatt made 3. They were up 12 before Lampley and Butler even found the net.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. You hear that and you say what? Like you say what as a coach? Like I don't even know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, as coaches, sometimes we say like, you got to let the other kids beat us. You can't let the main 2 or 3 beat you. But I think it's extremely difficult. We played Lawrence Central game 1 of the season, which feels like forever ago. But the only, thing I kind of remotely might have saw or have suggestions on how Pike can prepare for that is that, we did switch up some defenses and we said, okay, we're going to force mid-range jump shots. So nothing catch and shoot from 3 and try to limit things from at the rim. Anything has to be contested or give up the jump shot and kind of see where that lands us. And then I think second half, we tried to switch up some defenses and like if you take their first initial, action away, they looked, to kind of be a little hesitant. But again, that was game 1. So they've come such a long way. And so it's going to be a super interesting matchup. I don't think the score of Lawrence Central and Pike from the first game is going to be what we see this weekend.
And just to piggyback off of that, like you guys just said, like Hyatt makes those shots. What do you do, right? Like we said, queens be queens, but there's always a knight in that story too, right? And that comes up in shining armor and steps up to save the day. And I've seen that with our games that over the last 3 years with LCLN. Like, Lola Lampley is Lola Lampley, Jayla Lampley, Audra Kendall, Kiki Butler, Kaya Hurt, on down the list of great players but then there's a Kalia Bentley that makes a 3. A Brooklyn Roberts makes a shot, right? The Hyatt or whoever, then those are the ones that that are able to then join, your guys' podcast next day and are the nights of the night. And that's what this is the most incredible thing about this game is those moments.
Jess, would you rather have a game like this in a standalone week to prepare kind of situation, or would you rather roll it into, hey, we play it at 10 o'clock in the morning and then we play them again at 8 o'clock and condense the preparation time? What are the different dynamics from a coaching perspective that you would think that does this favor one team or another or bring to light one thing or another because there's a week to prepare and there's only one game?
Yeah, I'm a fan of going back to, what I played in high school is the 2-game regional, 1-game semi-state. But I also think, like when you look at these 2 teams, if I was the one going against them, I would want a week to prepare as well. So I think that I don't think it necessarily favors one of these teams in particular. But I do think it allows the coaches to get a little bit more creative with X's and O's and actions and counters and stuff like that, since you do have that full week to prepare and kind of, gather all your thoughts and really dissect what you think they're going to do.
Stephen, I said in the previous interview that I was going to ask you about this, so I'm going to now at this point in time. Northridge knocked Warsaw off. You also knocked Warsaw off in the state championship game. But earlier in that tournament, en route to that, you did knock off Lawrence Central in a game that maybe the computers didn't like you, and most of the public probably liked Lawrence Central in that game, but you knocked them off. I said that Northridge's upset of Warsaw gave me Lawrence North vibes. Is that a fair comment? Do you feel like your state championship run was really accelerated by that early round knockoff of Lawrence Central? And can we expect a deep run? Like, what's going on in Middlebury, Indiana right now in that gym? Because you experienced it last year after a huge win in the sectional round, and then it just catapulted you to blue rings.
It's a phenomenal experience to watch your team exhale, right? Like they've had so much buildup of this game or that team on their back. And then once they're able to get that off their shoulders and able to let their hair down and really be themselves is an incredible experience. And they're not looking over their shoulder and this, that, the other, however, you want to try to, phrase it. but definitely that experience then brings so much confidence, and that breath of fresh air brings so much confidence into your team from top to bottom. Even as a coaching staff, you get that extra bolt of okay, this is exactly what we were ready for, and this was the moment that we've prepared for, and we did it, right? And so now not only is it that we've done it, it's we're not done. So let's continue to sharpen the axe and continue to chop wood and stick to the so many of the foundational things that you have to continue to believe in yourself to continue to try to run into that buzzsaw with a Warsaw type of team. And once you're able to have that moment and win those games, it just is such a shock through the entire program that then it's anything and everything is supposed to be our way, and anything and everything can happen.
Couple more for me, for you guys. First off, who's the best team that you've played this season? I did the numbers. I counted them up. Jess, you've played 10 sectional champions on your schedule. Steven, you played 8. So I think that's probably one and tied for second. Brownsburg also played 8. That was the only other one that I could think of come close. So congratulations on just putting your kids through absolute hell this year. Who is the best team that you guys saw this year? Jess, we'll start with you.
Honestly, on January 24th, I would have told you it was Homestead. I thought they were hitting on all cylinders, and I didn't think that they would be out that early. I think obviously it gives props to Norwell, but yeah, that was the best actual team performance. Just they had everything, in my opinion, when we played them on January 24th.
Steven, what about you?
Man, we play such a gauntlet of a schedule. We've played so many great teams, from Center Grove to Pike to but the team that really for us, and we'll keep it in the MIC and in the family, Pike has from our semi-state game of last year that was won by 1 point, right? Like, they have stuck to what they believe in, and you've had the talented freshmen that they've had, and the success that they're going through, and it's hard. It's a hard toss up, and we respectfully, Lawrence Central as well, but Pike is so well complete with the hockey subbing. It's tough. They're just fresh. I mean, their guards are able to get at you, and kudos to those kids too, right? That community that's bought into that. Like, caps off to Keith on being able to get them to buy in, and that was the biggest thing with us is last year, when you are able to get your kids to buy into what you're selling, and they start to sell it for you and are all in. Sky's the limit. So I say Pike because they've got the inside presence with Mollie and Booker, and then they've got such great guards and some of combo guards that are bigger, that can take your smaller guards to the post, or put Savea Mitchell in a ball screen and let her make plays and create. It's been an honor to go to battle in the MIC that we have, and the schedule that we've been able to play with the youth that we did. But this year, caps off to Pike and Keith Hollins in that regard.
Just last one for the show. I'll throw you a bit of a curveball, but Evansville Central, we haven't had a chance to talk about them. They have a game coming up against Washington here in the regional. Just the Maddie Shirley effect, wherever you want to take it. You guys beat them in overtime at the beginning of the year. But just that team, your thoughts on them, et cetera.
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Gretchen. I recruited some of her kids when I was at the college level. Really respect what she does at Washington. Think Katie Reed, London Gilly, like really good players, Shay Hawk. And then Evansville Central, I think obviously it's Maddie Shirley. She can take over. It's unreal how you have a hand contesting her, 10-foot jump shot, and it's nothing but the bottom of the net. She just has such that unique release on her shot. And then Olivia Heil, I think she has talent as well. We played them when they still had their point guard. I believe she has suffered an ACL tear now. So I haven't seen them much since. But yeah, I think it will be kind of a battle with Maddie Shirley, Katie Reed, or however they kind of decide to guard but yeah, Maddie's going to do so well at USI, and I look forward to kind of following her career and stuff. And yeah, just keeping eyes on all of these games this weekend's going to be really fun.
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a great weekend. Jess and Steven, thanks so much for hopping on with us. Thanks to everybody else for tuning in. Lots of coverage at IndyStar.com featuring Aaron Miller. Big one. We'll have Scores live blog on Saturday, game coverage, everything like that. So be sure to do that. Danny and I'll be back together on Sunday. And with that, Danny, that's 4 hours of shows, and I'm ready to call it a night.
I know. Yeah, I don't even know where I am anymore.
Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.